Chapter 2397. Qin Yun had fought with the two devils before, so he was very familiar with their auras. And in the forest in front of him, waves of the evil aura of the two devils were drifting out. It was extremely tyrannical. Dongfang Bingbing immediately stopped and hid behind Qin Yun. She had seen those devil arrow insects before. They were disgusting and terrifying, giving her a huge psychological shadow. "Uncle Qin, the two devils are no match for us Purple Sun Elves," Mei Daguang said with a smile. "If they come, they will only be courting death." Second brother Mei also smiled confidently. "After we go in, we might be able to see their corpses." Qin Yun's expression remained grave as he said, "A great battle took place inside. There is a very tyrannical aura of the two devils. As for you Purple Sun Elves, your auras are very thin. This means that during the battle, the Purple Sun Elves were suppressed before they could unleash their full strength." "How is this possible?" Meyer shook his head and said, "Although the dual demon race is powerful, it won't be that easy for them to crush us." Mei Jie, Mei Daguang and the others did not believe Qin Yun's words. "Let's go in and take a look." At this time, Major also took out a purple longsword. It looked as if it had been forged from divine universe amethyst. Mei Jie walked in front and released his divine power to the extreme. Mei Daguang and the other two followed behind Mei Jie. "Master Qin, I'm scared." Dongfang Bingbing hid behind Qin Yun and held his hand. Qin Yun placed Dongfang Bingbing in a small room inside the Nine Sun Divine Soul and told her that it is a spatial magic tool. He told her not to act recklessly and to hide inside. After Dongfang Bingbing entered the Nine Sun Divine Spirit, she immediately felt a lot more at ease. What she is most worried about is that Qin Yun would not be able to take care of her during the battle and then she would be killed. Or if Qin Yun escaped and did not bring her, a little slave girl, with him, then she would be finished. Qin Yun took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and secretly injected divine power into the heaven-trampling divine boot. If he encountered the two fiendmen, he would be able to attack with all his might immediately. Qin Yun followed behind Mei Jie and entered the purple forest. Not long after he entered, he felt a strong evil aura coming at him. This was the demonic aura of the dual demon dwellers. Qin Yun had sensed it from outside. The reason why they could only discover it after entering was that the forest was actually enveloped by a barrier. This barrier could only be entered and not exited, and it was a very powerful one. "We have entered a barrier," Qin Yun reminded Major, who was in front of him, and Major's expression was no longer as relaxed as before. He could tell that something was wrong with the forest. "Daguang, don't walk so close to the front," Qin Yun reminded them and said, "How about I take out my pagoda and you guys hide inside?" "No need," Mei Daguang said. Although they said that, Qin Yun still decided to take out the Nine Suns Heaven-Raising Pagoda. Just as Qin Yun was about to release the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda, a black light suddenly flew over. The speed of the black light was extremely fast. Before Qin Yun and Mei Jie could react, the black light penetrated the upper bodies of Mei Daguang and the other two brothers, creating a large hole in their chests. It was a type of extremely poisonous divine power. After piercing through the chests of Mei Daguang and the other two brothers, it exploded with a very strong poison power, instantly corroding and melting the bodies of the three brothers. "Daguang!" Major's expression abruptly changed as he loudly roared. Qin Yun promptly took a step forward and used the Nether Moon's soul-devouring ability to extract the souls of Mei Daguang and the other two brothers. However, he was still a step too slow. He could only extract Mei Daguang's soul and store it inside the soul-sealing pearl. Moreover, he was heavily injured. Second Mei and Third Mei did not protect their souls well enough, so their souls were destroyed in an instant, and their bodies melted into a thick black venom. Qin Yun is extremely furious. Not long ago, these three youths were talking and laughing with him. They very respectfully and politely called him uncle, but now they have been killed. Major's eyes are also red with anger. He crazily rushed forward. Brother May, don't go over, let's quickly retreat. Qin Yun knows that Major is Shin Tianjun, but no one knows what is going on inside. Major has lost 3 sons in one go, causing him to lose his mind. Qin Yun promptly followed while concealing himself. At the same time, he used his heavenly eye to look at the forest filled with black gas. After approaching, he saw that there are tens of thousands of dual devil people inside the thick black fog. The lower half of the body that emerged from the abdomen of the dual devil people are releasing blood-red divine power. Among them, there are a few dual devil people that are relatively tall. With a glance, one can tell that they are at the Shin Tianjun level. Major entered the thick black fog and sensed that something is amiss. He immediately retreated. The dozens of purple sun elves that lived in this forest have long been killed by the dual devil people. This is certain. There are so many dual devil people, Qin Yun can't help but feel shocked. If it was only a dozen or so, he would definitely be able to deal with them. Even if it was a few dozen, he would still be able to barely fight. However, there are tens of thousands of them here. Qin Yun immediately released the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and 9 altars to form the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. He also released the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda that flickered with intense blue light. Brother May, quickly come in, Qin Yun shouted. At the same time, he controlled the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda to release blue tentacles that extended towards Major. Major also sensed that there are many dual devil people here. He is extremely regretful that he did not listen to Qin Yun's advice. Otherwise, his 3 sons would not have died so tragically. After seeing the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, Major immediately rushed into the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. At the same time, thousands of black light beams flew over in a densely packed manner. They actually penetrated the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and enveloped the entire 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and the place where Major is. Brother May! Qin Yun shouted loudly, but Major still did not rush over. In an instant, he was engulfed by the countless intense black poisonous lights. Qin Yun let out an angry roar. Looking at Major, who has turned into a black blood paste, he is so angry that his entire body is trembling. His fists are clenched so tightly that cracking sounds can be heard. He did not save a single one of the father and son duo. The only one who saved Mei Daguang's soul is a soul that has been severely damaged. The 9 altars also shrunk and quickly returned to the pagoda with black poison power. Mei Daguang's soul was placed into the soul creation heavenly cauldron by Qin Yun. It can still be recovered, but it will take a lot of time. A large number of dual devil people rushed over and surrounded the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Qin Yun sat paralyzed on the ground inside the pagoda. He felt very sad and angry. He didn't know Major and the other father and son duo for long, but he treated them as friends. Because the purple sun elves are a race that is very easy to communicate with. In the future, they can become allies and unite together. He still has the divine universe amethyst that Mei Daguang gave him. This is a thank you gift that Mei Daguang asked his father to give him. These bastards! Qin Yun is infuriated. He also wanted to take action, but those dual devil people are just too strong and there are too many of them. If he rashly charged out, he would definitely lose his life. You who are hiding inside, hurry up and come out. You won't be able to hide for long. One of the dual devil people laughed sinisterly. I am a dual devil emperor. Come out obediently and I guarantee that I won't eat you. When the dual devil people spoke, both of their heads opened their mouths at the same time. The head on the neck and the head on the stomach have the same unpleasant voice. Of course Qin Yun would not go out. It would definitely be very dangerous for him to go out. A large number of dual devil people are crazily attacking the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. In just a short while, The blue crystal on the pagoda's body has been dyed black. The 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda is covered with thick black mucus. It has become very ugly. Qin Yun is waiting. As long as these people leave, he will quietly go out and then use the Space Divine Power Pearl to quickly escape from this forest. It's impossible for these brutal and savage evil devils to set up such a powerful barrier. After Qin Yun calmed down, he suddenly thought of something. Xiao Yun, when you came in just now, did you look at the barrier? With your experience, you can definitely see what kind of technique was used to set up the barrier. Ling Yun'er said. I didn't pay much attention to it earlier, but when I entered the barrier, I still have some impression of it. Qin Yun took a deep breath and then released a strand of soul to float out. The weak soul floated over and was not discovered. Qin Yun closed his eyes and controlled the wisp of soul to slowly fly out to touch the barrier. The location of the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda is not very far from the barrier, so the soul very quickly flew over. After the soul touched the barrier, Qin Yun immediately discovered something familiar. The weak divine power that gushed out of the barrier seems to be the divine power of the 9 heavens divine race. This barrier was set up by the 9 heavens divine race. Qin Yun is very certain. He clenched his fists and said, "It must have been done by that guy. Divine King Jiangxian?" Ling Yun'er said, "It's this bastard. He is indeed on this purple sun heavenly island." Qin Yun said coldly, "The heavenly demon divine king should also be here." Ling Yun'er sighed and said, "Xiao Yun, if they are all Shen Tian monarch cultivators, then you are definitely not their match." Qin Yun took a deep breath and said, "Brother Mei said before that the purple sun elf race is against attacking the divine sun heavenly beast's lair, and the other powers on the island want to join forces and attack. He is speculating the reason why the dozens of people from the purple sun elf race were killed. The purple sun elf race is not willing to join them, and they are worried that the purple sun elf race will inform the divine sun heavenly beast, so they killed them. This kind of dirty work is done by the dual devil race. Even if the purple sun elf race investigates in the future, the other powers can push the blame to the dual devil race." Qin Yun carefully analyzed. He feels that his speculation is not far from the truth. The dual devil race and the purple sun elf race must have had a dispute. That's why the dual devil race is willing to do this kind of thing. Qin Yun is analyzing inside the pagoda when he suddenly heard the unpleasant laughter of the dual devil race emperors. "Divine King Jiangxian, your great formation barrier is truly powerful. Those purple sun elves can't escape at all. We ate a lot of them, ha ha." The dual devil race emperors laughed loudly. "Divine King Jiangxian is here, he is right outside. This is the mastermind behind the curse on Qin Yun's parent." Qin Yun secretly gritted his teeth. He can't see outside. The pagoda outside is wrapped in black mucus. He can only see Divine King Jiangxian's figure through his heavenly eye. What is this thing? Divine King Jiangxian looked at the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and asked. Chapter 2398. All the factions on the island have already decided to attack the central formation. This matter must be kept secret. If it is leaked out, the divine sun heavenly beasts will definitely defend in advance. Not only will it increase the difficulty of their attack, it will also be even more dangerous. They can't bear this kind of loss, so they joined hands to kill those few dozen purple sun elves to prevent the news from leaking out. Divine King Jiangxian also can't tell that it is the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. He only heard of its name, he doesn't know what it is. Moreover, the entire pagoda is covered in black mucus. "As long as we don't let that guy out," Divine King Jiangxian said. "If he doesn't go out, he won't be able to leak the secret." Dual Devil Race Emperor said, "The guy inside the pagoda is a human, not a purple sun elf." Divine King Jiangxian also laughed. "That's for the best. So many purple sun elves have died, their elf emperor might bring people over. We can just frame that guy." Divine King Jiangxian, then you have to clean up this place. Don't let our dual devil race be exposed. Dual devil race Emperor said with mischievous laugh. This forest has a large amount of dual devil race's evil aura. Don't worry, we will take care of it. What you need to do now is to properly prepare. When the time comes to attack the heavenly beast lair, you will be the main force. Divine King Jiangxian said with smile. After Qin Yun heard this from inside the pagoda, he realized that the dual devil race is very stupid. Not to mention doing the dirty work, they are also the scapegoat. When attacking the heavenly beast lair, they are the cannon fodder at the very front. Although the dual devil race is very stupid, their strength is not bad and they are born with it. You want to push the blame to me? Not that easy. Qin Yun took out the spirit creation heavenly cauldron and looked at it. Mei Dagwang's broken soul is recovering very slowly. There is no other way, he can only wait patiently. As long as Mei Dagwang's soul recovers, it will prove that he did not kill dozens of Purple Sun elf race people. Qin Yun just used a tool to record the conversation between Divine King Jiangxian and the dual devil race emperor. He lied down inside the pagoda and is planning his next move. On this Violet Sun Sky Island, several powerful forces had joined forces, and the leaders leading these forces were all extremely powerful. Apart from that, there were also the mysterious 8 Tao races. There were many of them and they were all born with 8 Tao images. The race emperor of the 8 Tao races was definitely Shen Tianjun. Qin Yun couldn't be sure if the mysterious Empyrean supremacy had joined them. God King Jiangxian, Sky Fei God King, Double Demon Race Thearchs, and 8 Tao Race Thearchs were all God Heaven Lord. Behind them were many powerful Tao gods. There might even be other God Heaven Lords. Ignoring the fact that he had to face a few factions, even if he had to face a single faction, he would not be able to withstand it with his current strength. Qin Yun could only wait. Wait for the Elf Emperor of the Purple Sun elves to come, wait for the Star God to finish evolving the Star Dome Divine Mirror, wait for Mei Dagwang's soul to recover. The overall strength of the Purple Sun Fairies was definitely not weak. Be it the Dual Fiends or Divine Monarch Jiangxian, they were all rather afraid of the Elf Emperor. Therefore, they wanted to frame Qin Yun. This way, they could wash away their suspicions and prevent themselves from being pursued by the Elf Emperor. Back when Qin Yun was with Mei Dagwang and company, he did not ask who was the strongest in the Purple Sun Fairy race. He only knew that the Purple Sun Fairy race's growth speed was very fast. To be able to become the Fairy Emperor, they were definitely very strong. Apart from the Elf Emperor, there should be other heavenly lords, and there should be quite a number of them. The divine power they use is also Purple Sun divine power. Furthermore, there are a large number of Divine Universe Purple crystals and Divine Universe Purple Sun core materials used to forge weapons. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, the dual devil race emperor, brought the core power of their entire race to annihilate a few dozen Purple Sun elves. If the entire Purple Sun fairy race were to move out, their strength would definitely be extremely terrifying. And Qin Yun also thought of this. The dual devil race emperor personally led thousands of dual devil cultivators and only killed a few dozen Purple Sun elves. From this, it can be seen that the dual devil race is very clear about the strength of the Purple Sun elves. In the end, those Purple Sun elves are too naive. They should have annihilated those idiots from the dual devil race long ago, but they actually talked about some non-aggression agreement. Ling Yuner lightly snorted and said, If there's a chance in the future, I'll have to teach these Purple Sun elves a lesson. Ling Yun can also be considered a fairy. She has an indescribable feeling towards fairies. Outside, Divine Monarch Jiangxian and the Dual Devil Race Emperor joined hands and continuously attacked the 9-Sun Heaven-raising pagoda. With their strength, they were unable to break through the sturdy pagoda. While Divine Monarch Jiangxian is astonished, he also greedily looked at the pagoda. In his eyes, this is an incomparably sturdy divine tool. The 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda also continuously evolved along with Qin Yun. Especially now that Qin Yun has several divine sons, he often placed the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda inside different divine sons to refine. Inside the pagoda, Qin Yun can roughly sense how strong divine monarch Jiang Xian's divine power is. Shen Tianjun is indeed very strong. I shouldn't be completely Shen Tianjuan's match right now. Qin Yun is also imagining the situation of him fighting Shen Tianjun. He doesn't know if he can't fight, but he believes that by relying on equipment, he can still hold on against Shen Tianjun for a period of time. Qin Yun went to the top floor to look at the star god. The star dome divine mirror has become a lot bigger. It looks like a very large disc. The star god is currently sitting cross-legged on the disc. Her eyes are closed and she is in a deep sleep. Her body is releasing divine power for the star dome divine mirror to absorb. The star dome divine mirror's evolution is not over yet. Qin Yun only went over to touch the star god's charming face and then returned to the first floor to continue paying attention to the movements outside. Many people have arrived outside and are cleaning up the scene. They want to remove all traces of the battle between the two devil rays. Divine Monarch Jiang Xian is definitely a hypocrite. This kind of guy, when the time comes, he will definitely pretend to be a good person and then trick the Elf Emperor into a trap and let the Elf Emperor deal with you. Ling Yun cursed in a low voice. Fortunately, Xiao Yun, you saved Daguang's soul, otherwise it would be very difficult to wash it off. Playing tricks with me? I never died. Qin Yun snorted. The Purple Sun Elf race definitely doesn't know much about these guys. They will definitely be deceived by them. Watch how I expose them. After Qin Yun patiently waited inside the pagoda for 3 days, Dongfang Bingbing, who was inside the 9-sun divine spirit, suddenly shouted, "Master Qin, quickly let me out, I have something to say." Qin Yun released Dongfang Bingbing. In these 2 to 3 days, he also told Dongfang Bing about the situation outside. Dongfang Bingbing is rather afraid, so she decided to temporarily hide inside Qin Yun's 9-sun divine spirit. "Bingbing, what's the matter?" Qin Yun asked. Dongfang Bingbing took out a stone and said in a low voice, "Master Qin, look at this stone. A white stone, it's flashing. What kind of stone is this?" Qin Yun looked at it and asked, "This is a stone that can sense my father's nearby." Dongfang Bingbing said somewhat happily, "My father might have already reached the island. Is that so?" Qin Yun's eyes flickered. He pondered over something and asked again, "Then does your father know that you are also on this island?" Dongfang Bingbing shook her head and said, "He doesn't know. I made this stone in secret. If your father comes, the other 2 bosses might also come." Qin Yun said with a smile, "They said they wouldn't come before, but now they are very honest." Dongfang Bingbing said, "Master Qin, even if they come, they won't help you. You're their sworn enemy. My father might help you, but it's mainly because of me." "I don't need their help," Qin Yun said. "My cultivation is inferior to theirs, but that doesn't mean my ability is inferior to theirs." Qin Yun has not been idle these past few days. He has been refining sacred Tao divine pills. This is used to help the Tao statue transform into the sacred heavenly Tao statue. He did not eat it. Even if he ate it, the Tao statue would not be able to evolve immediately unless there was a good opportunity. Just as Qin Yun was thinking about the 3 bosses, the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda suddenly shook violently. "Master Qin, what happened?" Dongfang Bingbing shouted in alarm. The 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda has never shook so violently before. Is it going to be broken? Not only the shaking is very strong, there is also a huge tremor. Qin Yun did not even have time to speak before he suffered another fierce attack. The entire pagoda shook even more violently than before. "Don't worry." Qin Yun finished speaking and immediately went to the top floor. He set up a barrier to ensure that Star God can stay in an extremely quiet environment. Xiao Yun, what's wrong? Star God closed his eyes and said slowly. It's nothing, continue. Qin Yun said. Wait until the star heaven divine mirror finishes evolving, you and I will become stronger. Star God said. Xiao Yun, wait patiently. Alright. Qin Yun quickly arrived at the first floor. The black mucus that wrapped around the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda has long been removed. Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing can see the situation outside from inside. Purplish-red energy mist and flames are rushing outside. Damn it, Purple Sun Elf race is here. Qin Yun cursed in low voice. They met Divine King Jiang Xian and those bastards in some other place and were tricked by them. At this time, Qin Yun and Dongfang Bingbing heard Divine King Jiang Xian's aged voice. Elf Emperor, this pagoda is very hard. We attacked it for a long time but couldn't even move a bit. Otherwise we would have already captured that demon and sent him to Divine Universe's Purple Sun Mountain. Divine King Jiang Xian sighed and said, no matter how hard this pagoda is, as long as our Purple Sun Elf race is still here, we must break it open, capture the enemy and put him on trial, then imprison and seal him. The person who spoke seems to be a young man. This elf emperor should also look very young. Qin Yun secretly feels that these Purple Sun elves are too naive. Even if they captured their enemy, they would only seal and imprison him. Twin Devil Race Emperor's unpleasant voice came through. Brother Elf Emperor, that bastard inside the pagoda is too powerful, otherwise we would have already killed him. Chapter 2399. There is a large area of purple flames outside. Qin Yun can only see the Elf Emperor's figure through the dense flames. He is a tall and slender man. He is standing beside Divine King Jiang Xian and dual Devil Race Emperors. Qin Yun could not help but shake his head. As the Elf Emperor, he had to bear the responsibility of the entire race's safety. But now, he was standing with two true enemies. Master Qin, the Elf Emperor will definitely not let you off. Dongfang Bingbing said, have you thought of a way to deal with it? I've already thought about it. I just need time. On the other hand, Qin Yun was very calm. The main reason was that the Elf Emperor was unable to attack. As such, he could patiently wait here. Everything would be fine once Mei Daguang's soul recovered. At that time, the Sidhe Emperor would communicate with Mei Daguang's soul and the truth would be revealed. Qin Yun also recorded the conversation between Divine Monarch Jiang Xian and the two Devil Race Emperors. He didn't release it because he has two considerations. Firstly, if the Elf Emperor believed that the recording was real, then he would definitely fight with Divine Monarch Jiang Xian and the other factions. He might even be killed here. Secondly, even if the Elf Emperor didn't believe him, God King Jiang Xian and the others would be on guard. They might even make a move beforehand to kill a naive fellow like the Elf Emperor. Qin Yun was mainly thinking on behalf of the Purple Sun Fairies. After all, they were a race worth roping in. Furthermore, they were extremely powerful. It was just that they were naive. Dongfang Bingbing looked at the stone in her hand and snorted. Father is really something. He was clearly scared to death, and said that he wouldn't participate in the fight for the Third Universe Divine Sunday. Why is he here now? Are you afraid he will clash with me? Asked Qin Yun with a smile. Of course not, I'm afraid that he will die in the hands of others. Dongfang Bingbing rolled her eyes at Qin Yun and said, don't think that after the three bosses died, the Heavenly Law pawnshop is yours. Qin Yun said with a chuckle, could it be that your father left a trick up his sleeve? If he were to die, you would immediately inherit his Heavenly Dao blood token? Become a female boss? No way. Dongfang Bingbing harumph. Dongfang Bingbing's familiar voice suddenly came from outside. Isn't this the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda? The voice belonged to Boss Gongsun. The owners of the Heavenly Law pawnshop could still recognize the Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda. Nine Sun Sky Raising Pagoda. Hearing these words, God King Jiang Xian's expression changed. The corners of his eyes trembled as he stared hatefully at the 9 suns sky raising pagoda within the purple flames. He was secretly delighted because he had always wanted to find Qin Yun, the 9 yang palace king. However, he realized that the 9 yang divine palace was in the heavenly sword formation of the Sword Forest Mountain Desert. He did not have the confidence to attack it, but now Qin Yun was right in front of him. The godly king heavenly seal in Qin Yun's hands was something that godly monarch Jiang Xian coveted the most. He dreamed of it even in his dreams. Qin Yun had once destroyed too many of their plans. He had even grasped the heavenly sword formation in his hands and sealed off the passageway from the 9 heavens to the divine wilderness. This caused them to go through a lot of trouble and come through another passageway. 9 suns sky raising pagoda. Who owns this pagoda? The elf emperor hastily asked. This is the 9 yang palace kings. Boss Gongsun seemed to have just arrived and did not know what was happening. Hall King 9 yang? I've heard of this person. It was the divine judge who told me that he would be the future god king. The elf emperor is very angry. I never expected that this person would kill dozens of my race. Godly monarch Jiang Xian said coldly. Elf emperor, you might not know this, but this 9 yang palace king is infamous in the divine wilderness. He is a homicidal maniac. The number of living beings that died in his hands is innumerable. Many experts of my 9 heavens divine race and 9 heavens demon race have died tragically in his hands. That's right, one of my 9 heavens demon race's demon emperor died in Qin Yun's hands. This is the voice of the heavenly demon divine king. It is filled with hatred. Previously, one of his puppet avatars was killed by Qin Yun. Is that so? Our purple sun fairy race will definitely capture this person. The elf emperor is even more furious. If it's just a seal, I'm afraid he will run out. Once we catch him, we must kill him. Godly monarch Jiang Xian said. Elf emperor, you are born with a kind heart. This is very rare. If you are not willing to kill, then hand Qin Yun over to us. No, this person killed dozens of my clansmen. I want to bring him back for trial and give the entire race an explanation. The elf emperor said resolutely. You don't have the ability to capture this person, so you don't have the qualifications to punish him. Let us seal him. Boss Gongsun did not say a word. Of course he knew what kind of trash godly monarch Jiang Xian and the heavenly demon divine king were, but he did not defend Qin Yun. Elf emperor, don't be fooled by these people. Qin Yun could not help but say. If you want to punish me and put me on trial, will you give me a chance to prove my innocence? Of course I will give it to you. If you don't have any evidence, then we will definitely deal with you. When the elf emperor heard Qin Yun's words, he immediately said, Please come out immediately and follow us back to accept the trial. I guarantee that you will not be punished. Finally, 8 Dao races emperors arrived with a few old men. A group of people surrounded the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and pointed at it. Godly monarch Jiang Xian and the others took the lead to fabricate all kind of stories to slander Qin Yun. They said that Qin Yun is a heinous and unforgivable devil. Only Jiang Jiuchuan knows that Qin Yun is being attacked from all sides. He can't defend Qin Yun now, or he will only anger the people here. He knows that Qin Yun must have a way to escape. He will help Qin Yun when he needs help. Father, that guy is truly evil, he is a devil. A petite and cute woman beside the elf emperor gnashed her teeth and said very angrily after hearing godly monarch Jiang Xian and the others talk about Qin Yun's vile deeds. Princess Feng Feng, that guy is a great sex fiend. You better wear a veil and not let him see your face. Otherwise, he will have very dirty thoughts towards you. The 2 devil races emperors laughed loudly and said. The elf princess promptly took out a mask and put it on, covering her very cute face. She furiously said, Father, I must ruthlessly beat up that scoundrel. Feng Feng, father promised him that I wouldn't abuse him. The elf emperor said, Moreover, we don't have enough evidence to prove that he killed our people, so we have to bring him back for interrogation. Qin Yun suddenly feels that the elf emperor is not that stupid. At least he has principles when doing things. He didn't follow the crowd. But look, everyone says that he is a scoundrel, then he is definitely a scoundrel. Princess Feng Feng is still very angry. Feng Feng, if 100 people say that you are a bad girl, then would you also be a bad girl? The elf emperor is very calm and collected. Hearing the elf emperor's words, godly monarch Jiang Xian and the others immediately shut up. They suddenly feel that the elf emperor is not that stupid. Previously, godly monarch Jiang Xian and the others thought that the elf emperor was very stupid, so they crazily slandered Qin Yun. This might have caused the elf emperor to be suspicious. Princess Feng Feng did not continue speaking. She felt that what her father said is very reasonable. There are some things that need to be seen to be true. Qin Yun secretly nodded his head and praised the elf emperor. At the same time, he also felt guilty. He actually thought that the elf emperor was very naive. All of a sudden, he felt that the elf emperor was pretending to be stupid. Or is great wisdom masquerading as stupidity? Elf Emperor, my injuries are quite heavy. Can you come in and help me heal? My pagoda can only be entered and not exited. Qin Yun suddenly said. He felt that it was necessary to talk to the Elf Emperor alone. Elf Emperor, you must not go in. That guy is very sinister. His cultivation is not high, but he has killed many experts. Godly monarch Jiang Xian immediately pressed down on the elf emperor's shoulder. Godly monarch Jiang Xian is truly worried that the elf emperor would be killed by Qin Yun. At this moment, there is also a group of people who are trying to persuade the elf emperor not to go in. The elf emperor's body shook and shook off godly monarch Jiang Xian's hand. This also caused godly monarch Jiang Xian's expression to change slightly. Everyone can see that the elf emperor is stronger than godly monarch Jiang Xian. Chapter 2400. The elf emperor did not bring Princess Feng Feng with him. Instead, he entered the Nine Suns sky-raising pagoda by himself. Qin Yun, who is inside the pagoda, looked at the righteous elf emperor in front of him. Although he is not very handsome, his face is very righteous. His eyebrows are benevolent, filled with righteousness and a bit simple and honest. How serious are your injuries? After the elf emperor came in, he sized up Qin Yun and said, You look very spirited. You don't look injured at all. Could it be an internal injury or a hidden injury to the soul? Qin Yun said, I am not injured. I let you in because I wanted to talk to you in private. I didn't kill dozens of your clansmen. It was the dual demon race who killed them. Divine King Jiang Xian and his group also helped from behind. The elf emperor frowned and said, Do you have any evidence? Qin Yun took out a round shell. It is a recording device. He played the conversation between the two devil emperors and divine King Jiang Xian. The guy in the tower is a human, not a purple sun elf. That would be for the best. With so many purple sun elves dead, their elf sovereign might bring people over. We can just frame that guy. When the elf emperor heard these two sentences, his expression changed. He was filled with anger and an extremely strong purple sun divine power surged out from his body. The fairy emperor with the cultivation of Shen Tian Lord is now enraged. The divine power on his body accompanied his anger, causing Qin Yun to feel apprehensive. This was the power of Shen Tianjun. This is the first time Qin Yun felt the strength of a powerful divine heaven lord at such a close distance. This kind of dialogue can be forged. I can also forge it. After the elf emperor's anger subsided, he quickly calmed down and said. He still couldn't believe that God King Jiang Xian and the others had joined forces to do such a thing. Qin Yun said, Before I came to this island, I met Mei Daguang and his brothers. Back then, Daguang and company were besieged by the two devilmen. He told the Elf Emperor everything about himself, Mei Daguang and Mei Jie. Moreover, he even took out the divine universe amethyst that Major had given him. Fairy Emperor looked at the box in Qin Yun's hand and can't help but reveal a sorrowful expression. He sighed and said, "I gave this to a Jie." But the father and son. It could be seen that the relationship between the Elf Emperor and Major was quite good. The situation back then was too urgent. I only managed to save Daguang's soul. He is still undergoing treatment. Qin Yun took out the soul creation heavenly cauldron again. After opening it, a faint light appeared. With a glance, the Elf Emperor knew that this was Mei Daguang's soul. This was because the souls of the Purple Sun Elves were also very special. As the Elf Emperor, he could immediately recognize it. Elf Emperor, the reason why I didn't say it earlier was because I was worried that you would fight with the two Devil Race Emperors in a fit of anger. With the current situation, once you make a move, there will definitely be heavy casualties, Qin Yun said. At this moment, the Elf Emperor released a kind of purplish-red spiritual power and injected it into the soul creation heavenly cauldron to help Mei Daguang's soul recover. As he healed Mei Daguang's soul, he asked, "Then what should we do next? You guys stay put for the time being and pretend to capture me, and I will continue to stay in this pagoda," Qin Yun said. "Also, you need to think of a way to make contact with the Divine Sun heavenly beasts. I heard from Brother Magia that there is a beast king among the Divine Sun heavenly beasts here. You are the Elf Emperor, you should be able to talk to the Beast King. Listen to me." Qin Yun wants the Elf Emperor to secretly send a message to the Divine Sun heavenly beasts that some people are joining hands to attack their spawning grounds. What caused Qin Yun to be amazed is that the Elf Emperor very quickly helped Mei Daguang's soul recover. Moreover, he can communicate with Mei Daguang and confirm that Qin Yun is telling the truth. "Qin Yun, Daguang asked me to thank you. I will definitely let Daguang cultivate a new body as soon as possible. At that time, he will personally thank you." The Elf Emperor is now looking at Qin Yun with a bit more respect and gratitude. A3, help me apologize to Daguang because I only saved him. Qin Yun lightly sighed. It's mainly because I am not strong enough, otherwise I would have been able to save them. Speaking of this matter, Qin Yun also feels very sad and very guilty. In the past, he never allowed his friends to be killed by his side. "Brother Qin, don't be sad. If Jie and the others knew that Daguang is still alive, they would definitely be very happy and very grateful to you." The Elf Emperor patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said, "You are also my Purple Sun Elf race's benefactor. You saved Daguang, I owe you a favor." Qin Yun waved his hand and said, "Let's not talk about this anymore. I only hope that you won't show mercy to your enemies. The Divine Desolate is a place where the weak are prey to the strong. It is because you are naive and pure in the eyes of the dual devil race that they dare to attack your people. We can't kill people." The Elf Emperor shook his head and said, "We can't deprive other living beings of their lives, otherwise our souls will be corroded by evil and we will become dark elves." "There's such a thing?" Qin Yun frowned and said, "Then capture them and hand them over to me." "All right." The Elf Emperor nodded in agreement. He understood Qin Yun from the Divine Judge. Now that he has truly come into contact with Qin Yun, it is just as the Divine Judge said, Qin Yun is a trustworthy person. "Then do as I said before. First inform the Divine Sun Heavenly Beast King and let them prepare their defenses," Qin Yun said. "All right, I will go out and do it now." The Elf Emperor thought for a moment and asked, "Then after I go out, how will I explain it to the people outside?" "Just say that you have already sealed me inside the pagoda," Qin Yun said with smile. "Don't worry, those people outside will definitely believe you." The reason for that was because everyone could tell that the Elf Emperor was an extremely honest person. Furthermore, he had a righteous expression on his face. He simply did not seem like someone who would lie. The elf emperor walked out of the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. After he left, divine King Jiangxian and the others immediately surrounded him. Elf Emperor, why did you come out by yourself? Where is that bastard? Divine King Jiangxian hastily asked. He is also worried that their matter would be exposed. He has been sealed by me, the Elf Emperor said coldly. This kind of homicidal maniac will be sealed here forever until his soul scatters and scatters. This divine King Jiangxian is startled. He wished that he could immediately rush in and capture Qin Yun, torture him and force out the divine king heavenly seal. However, that pagoda is very difficult to break through. Currently, divine King Jiangxian and the others are unable to do it even if they join hands. Father, is that guy really an evil person? Princess Feng Feng asked in a low voice. Heinous beyond redemption. The elf emperor clenched his fists and said angrily, if it wasn't for the fact that my race can't kill people, I would definitely let him die a horrible death. At this moment, the surrounding people can all feel the monstrous anger of the elf emperor. The elf emperor is truly angry because the evil person who killed his clansmen is right beside him and he even pretends to treat them well. The elf emperor is also considering the overall situation. Otherwise, hundreds of his clansmen would have died here. Then, Big Brother Dogwang and the others, aren't they all dead? And Uncle Magia. Princess Feng Feng is already sobbing uncontrollably as she leaned into the elf emperor's embrace. I have already punished the culprit. They can rest in peace. Tears also appeared in the elf emperor's eyes. The hundreds of purple sun elves present all lowered their heads. Their expressions were heavy as they sank into incomparable grief. The elf emperor is truly sad. He is unable to tell the truth to his daughter or his other clansmen. He can only let Qin Yun suffer for the time being. Qin Yun, I hate you. I must work hard to become stronger, then break through this pagoda and kill you. Princess Feng Feng suddenly rushed towards the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. As she cried, she punched and kicked the door. The nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda was shaken by a petite girl like Princess Feng Feng. It can be seen how terrifying her strength is. Feng Feng, we purple sun elves can't kill people. Otherwise, we will become evil spirits, and then we will go around killing innocent people. The elf emperor went over and pulled Princess Feng Feng back. He said, let's go. Princess Feng Feng cried bitterly as she randomly hit the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Inside the pagoda, Qin Yun shook his head and said with a sigh, truly an affectionate and loyal little girl. I will definitely avenge brother Mei and Dogwang. Dongfang Bingbing said in a low voice, that little girl is really strong. I might not be her match. If you meet her in the future and the misunderstanding hasn't been resolved, then you have to be careful. It's fine. Qin Yun did not blame Feng Feng. It's good that Feng Feng scolded him like this. At least it would let the people outside believe that he was sealed by the Elf Emperor. Very soon, the Elf Emperor left with his people. He will definitely let a portion of them leave the Purple Sun Heavenly Island first, and then he will stay behind. The Elf Emperor already knows that something big is going to happen in the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. He has a very important matter to attend to, that is to inform the Divine Sun Heavenly Beast. The Purple Sun Heavenly Island is constantly illuminated. Because outside the huge bubble, there is a very scorching light fog. It is also impossible to see the heaven's divine moon and starry sky inside. The people outside have all left. Although Divine King Jiangxian and the others have temporarily left, they will not give up on attacking the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. In their eyes, the Divine King Heavenly Seal is incomparably important, they must obtain it. After the people outside have all left, an hour later, a masked and black-armored man suddenly appeared outside the pagoda. Palace King, it's me, Jiang Jiuchuan. Jiang Jiuchuan directly used his mental power to enter the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Jiang Clan King, What's the situation on this island now? Why did you appear in the Purple Sun Heavenly Island? You said that you wouldn't come. There is an important information regarding the third myriad realms divine Sunday. I told the nameless old man to contact you before, but he couldn't. Then I guessed that you were on this island, so I immediately rushed over. Jiang Jiuchuan said. After Qin Yun entered the Purple Sun Heavenly Island's bubble, he can no longer communicate with the nameless old man. What's wrong with the third myriad realm's divine sun? Qin Yun immediately asked. He is using his mental power to communicate with Jiang Jiuchuan. Dongfang Bingbing can't hear him. She can only see that there is a large man outside. Myriad realm's divine sun will become completely independent. No one will be able to enter it anymore. Moreover, powerful creatures will be born inside the divine sun, humans, beasts, fairies, and so on. Divine Sun Heavenly Beast is one of them. Its main purpose is to protect the myriad realms divine Sunday. Chapter 2401. Qin Yun is not surprised because he sensed it on the way here. Third myriad realms divine sun Heavenly Beast appeared. This is a kind of abnormality. Nobody knows what kind of change will happen to myriad realms divine sun. Maybe even the spirit inside myriad realms divine sun doesn't know. Then do you know what kind of big change will happen to myriad realms divine sun? Qin Yun asked. I also don't know. I only received a message from myriad realms divine sun telling me to leave ancestral divine sun as soon as possible. It said that divine sun is going to reform inside. Jiang Jiuchuan replied, Hall King, my father, Divine King Jiang Xian, has arrived at Violet Sun Sky Island. I'll try my best to learn more from him. I will try my best to find out more information from him. Alright. Qin Yun has already arranged for Jiang Daliang to set up a trap. Let's see if Divine King Jiang Xian will take the bait or not. Jiang Jiuchuan said again. Palace King, that myriad heaven's venerable emperor is also on the island. He didn't appear earlier, but he is indeed very strong. Even my father doesn't dare to provoke him. Have you seen myriad heaven's venerable emperor? Qin Yun is puzzled as to why myriad heaven's venerable emperor didn't appear. I saw him once, but I couldn't tell how strong he is. Jiang Jiuchuan said, Palace King, myriad heaven's venerable emperor's final goal is myriad heaven's divine moon. Myriad heaven's divine moon is about to evolve, and during this stage, there will be a big change that will cause myriad heaven's divine moon to lose its defense. If the Moon Palace and the Moon God clan couldn't defend themselves, they would retreat to the Sword Forest Desert to hide. This is what Yu Shangyun said before. Of course, if they retreat from myriad heaven's divine moon, then after myriad heaven's divine moon evolves, other powers might attack it. What will happen to myriad heaven's divine moon at that time, it is impossible to predict. Did myriad heaven's divine moon change before you came here? Qin Yun asked. No change at the moment. Jiang Jiuchuan shook his head. All right, return to your father's side as soon as possible and help me investigate his situation. Qin Yun said. I will be fine here. I will be able to leave very soon. Jiang Jiuchuan immediately left. He is not worried about the matter between Qin Yun and Purple Sun Fairy Race. He knows that Qin Yun can handle it well. After Jiang Jiuchuan left, Dongfang Bingbing asked, Master Qin, what did you discuss with him? Nothing, I just told him to do something. Qin Yun said. Then can we go out now? Dongfang Bingbing looked around and said, Those people have left. We can't see anything from here, so we naturally thought that they had left. I'm sure that Divine King Jiang Xian and the others left behind many spies to keep an eye on my pagoda. Qin Yun said confidently. Those god kings are not fools. Even if they believe in the Elf Emperor's seal, they also believe that Qin Yun can break the seal. Dongfang Bingbing helplessly sat down and said in a low voice, Why did my father come to this island? I don't know yet. They must have received some news and rushed over. Qin Yun looked at Dongfang Bing and said with smile, Boss Dongfang knows that you are following me, but he doesn't seem to be worried about you at all. Even if he's worried, what's the point? Dongfang Bingbing had completely lost her freedom after becoming Qin Yun's maid. Qin Yun brought Dongfang Bingbing along not because he lacked a maid, but because Dongfang Bingbing was a bargaining chip. When needed, he could use Dongfang Bingbing to threaten Boss Dongfang to support him. The Heavenly Law pawnshop's matter is still very complicated. Qin Yun's current cultivation is limited, so he can't go in and fight head-on for now. Therefore, he needs Boss Dongfang to stand on his side, so that he can keep the other two bosses in check. Qin Yun is waiting for the Star Heaven Divine Mirror to finish evolving inside the Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda. He originally thought that it would succeed very quickly, but now he realized that he doesn't know when it will succeed. Star God also said that the several changes that happened to the Star Heaven Divine Mirror might be related to the environment. Qin Yun is now very close to the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. The several changes that happened to the Star Heaven Divine Mirror is very likely related to the Myriad Realms Divine Sun. What kind of big change will happen to the Myriad Realms Divine Sun? Qin Yun is inside the pagoda, looking at the direction that is releasing intense light. That is where the Myriad Realms Divine Sun is located. Although it was just born not long ago, after approaching it, one can see how terrifying it is. Jiang Jiuquan left for a few hours and suddenly returned. Palace King, not good. Jiang Jiuquan is wearing armor and mask. After arriving, he hastily released his mental power and sent a message to Qin Yun. What happened? Qin Yun hastily asked. They're attacking the central area. Jiang Jiuquan hurriedly replied, I heard that the central region is where the divine yang heavenly beasts lay their eggs. They want to invade the central region and take control of the Violet Sun Heavenly Island. Qin Yun is also quite surprised. He already knew that those factions were plotting this matter. However, he never expected them to attack so quickly. Can they attack in? Asked Qin Yun. We can't break in for now. However, the poisonous arrows and light shot out by the dual devil cultivators can penetrate the barrier in the central region. Jiang Jiuquan was very nervous and said, Palace King, those divine sun heavenly beasts outside will definitely go crazy. If they go crazy and attack the Violet Sun Heavenly Island, even if we don't die, we will still die. He'll be seriously injured. Qin Yun paced back and forth a few steps and asked anxiously, They are attacking the central region, what about the divine sun heavenly beast? They didn't retaliate immediately. The divine sun heavenly beasts are all flying around the Violet Sun Sky Island. This group of huge beasts suddenly went to a place just now. It was also around this time that the nest in the central area was attacked. Jiang Jiuquan said. Qin Yun understood. Someone knew that the divine sun heavenly beast would suddenly leave, that's why they attacked. These bastards, they are really bold. Qin Yun cursed in low voice. Aren't they courting death? If the divine sun heavenly beast gets angry, it will be terrible. When the time comes, they will just pat their butts and leave. Even if this island is destroyed, they won't suffer any losses. They just want to destroy this Violet Sun Heavenly Island and see what's in the center. Jiang Jiuquan said, Palace King, you should leave quickly. You leave first. I still have something to do. Qin Yun said. Alright. Jiang Jiuquan immediately left. He is also very afraid of death. After Jiang Jiuquan left, Qin Yun released the Heavenly Lion Dao image. Soon after, Qin Yun took out a tool specially used to detect souls. Very quickly, he detected the fluctuation of dozens of souls and controlled the Heavenly Lion to rush over. The snow-white Heavenly Lion's entire body released white flames. It charged towards a boulder and slapped down with its claw, unleashing Heavenly Lion fighting Dragon Claw. After the boulder was torn apart, a very large dual devil cultivator appeared. The head on the abdomen of the dual devil cultivator is also extremely frightened. It promptly shot out devil arrow insects from its mouth. Qin Yun is very experienced in dealing with dual devil cultivators. The divine power on the heavenly lion's body is specially created to restrain evil devils. The dual devil cultivator suffered a claw attack and his body was directly torn to shreds. Moreover, his body is still burning with white flame. The evil devil power and his body were immediately purified. Qin Yun stored Dongfang Bingbing inside the Nine Sun Divine Soul and locked her inside a small room. The outside is already in chaos. The sudden appearance of the white heavenly lion alarmed the dual devil cultivators hiding in the surroundings. A large group of dual devil cultivators suddenly jumped out and attacked the white heavenly lion. Qin Yun's heavenly lion is not afraid of those dual devil cultivators at all. As long as it is not facing divine heavenly monarch level dual devil emperor, it can hang up and beat up most of them. What caused Qin Yun to pay attention is that there are still 3 souls that have not moved. They are still hiding behind the boulder and have not rushed out to participate in the battle. Qin Yun suspects that these 3 are the people left behind by Divine King Jiang Xian, Heavenly Demon Divine King, and 8 Dao race emperors. There are not many of them left behind. Each of them left behind one person to watch the 9 Sun Heaven raising pagoda. Although there are not many of them, they are definitely very strong. Of course, no matter how strong they are, they can't be divine heavenly monarch. It is truly a waste to use people with divine heavenly monarch cultivation to stay here and watch. After Qin Yun concealed himself, he quietly slipped out of the 9 Sun Heaven raising pagoda. Once he left, he carefully approached a boulder. After he came out, he used his heavenly eye to scan the area. He released his mental power and sensed that there is a 9 Heavens divine demon hiding behind the boulder. Qin Yun has a method to restrain 9 Heavens divine demons. Especially that little black saber, it is specially made to kill 9 Heavens divine demons. That 9 Heavens divine demon is at the Tao God realm. He is wearing blue crystal armor and his silver hair is fluttering in the wind. He knows that a large number of dual devil cultivators are fighting with the white heavenly lion, but he has no intention of taking action. He doesn't even look at them. This 9 Heavens divine demon is lying behind the boulder. He seems to be cultivating and crazily absorbing the divine power here. On the Purple Sun Heavenly Island, not only can one absorb high-quality myriad world divine sun power, one can also absorb divine universe purple energy. To a 9 Heavens divine demon, this is a rare opportunity to cultivate. After Qin Yun approached, he floated in the air and arrived above the 9 Heavens divine demon. That 9 Heavens divine demon did not discover Qin Yun's whereabouts, but he is somewhat vigilant. After being vigilant, the 9 Heavens divine demon opened his eyes and saw 10 black lights shooting down from the sky. Qin Yun controlled 10 small black flying daggers and quickly shot them into the ground. The small flying daggers are like nails. They shot towards the 9 Heavens divine demon lying on the ground and nailed him to the ground. The 9 Heavens divine demon wanted to shout, but his mouth, throat and head were all pierced by the small flying daggers. His body is also pressed down by a formless supergravity, making it hard for him to move. Qin Yun hastily swooped down and very quickly threw the 9 Heavens divine demon into the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. He used the power of the Nether Sun totem to kill him. He killed a Tao God realm 9 Heavens divine demon without anyone noticing, and then quickly rushed towards Divine King Jiang Xian's subordinate. This is a person from the 9 Heavens divine race. The aura of the 9 Heavens divine race is very easy to distinguish. There is a distance between the 9 Heavens divine race and the 9 Heavens divine demon. Furthermore, the 2 of them do not know each other. They each have their own things to do and did not talk. The 9 Heavens divine race person is more dedicated. He did not slack off to cultivate. Instead, he wore the invisibility cloak and sat on a rock, staring at the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Even though the twin devils and heavenly lions near the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda are fighting intensely, the 9 heavens divine race person did not even look over there. It is because this person is too serious. He did not expect that Qin Yun is already behind him. When he discovered that there is someone behind him, his neck was strangled by Qin Yun using the heaven-locking chain. Before he could even scream, his head was cut off by the heaven-locking chain and his head separated from his body. Just like the 9 heavens divine demon, he was thrown into the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron and burned. Chapter 2402. After Qin Yun turned around, he saw a tall and sturdy middle-aged man. This middle-aged man has a pitch-black 8-footed small cauldron in his hand. With one look, he realized that this small cauldron is formed from the sacred heavenly Tao image. Moreover, it is formed from the fusion of 8 sacred heavenly Tao images. I have indeed been sealed, but the elf emperor's seal cannot suppress me. Qin Yun knows that this middle-aged man is a formidable Tao god. As long as it is not Shen Tianjun, Qin Yun will dare to fight. The middle-aged man said with sneer, "No matter what, you ran out. You bastard, you really have guts. You dare to come here with this kind of cultivation. This is also good. Your God King Heavenly Seal is mine." "You want my God King Heavenly Seal? Then what about the 8 Tao Emperor? You should hand it over to the clan emperor," Qin Yun said with indifferent smile. "I, Zhui Yaofan, have the God King Heavenly Seal and will become one of the future God Kings of Divine Desolate." "What bullshit clan emperor? He will be nothing but a fart at that time," Zhui Yaofan said with sneer. His eyes are filled with fanaticism and excitement, as if he will become a God King very soon. No one can confirm whether or not the God King Heavenly Seal in Qin Yun's hand is complete. Most people speculate that it is missing a seal spirit. Some people also believe that Divine Desolate's God King Heavenly Seal is different from other God World's Heavenly Seals and should have several parts. Only Qin Yun knows the specifics. Not far away, Qin Yun's Heavenly Lion is still fighting against the 2 devils. Most of them have already been killed. The remaining few are struggling at death's door. Zhui Yaofan glanced at Qin Yun's Heavenly Lion and said again, "You really have some ability. Your Heavenly Lion Tao image is filled with divine power. It is very effective against these 2 devils. But it has no effect on me." While Zhui Yaofan was speaking, the Heavenly Lion killed the remaining 2 devils and returned to Qin Yun. After Qin Yun withdrew the Heavenly Lion, he took out the 9-sun divine hammer. He is about to face an extremely powerful Tao god. Moreover, he doesn't know much about this kind of Tao god. After all, this is the first time he is facing 8 Tao Emperor clan members. The most powerful aspect of 8 Tao Emperor clan members is their innate 8 Tao images. These 8 images were very special and did not have any restrictions. Otherwise, ordinary people with 8 images would not be able to break through. However, the 8 Paths races people could break through. This meant that when they cultivated the 8 Paths images, they didn't have high requirements for their corporeal bodies. He was unlike Qin Yun, who had forcefully cultivated an extremely powerful heavenly body in order to withstand the 10 images. Also, the 8 Tao images of the 8 Tao clans were all exactly the same. If they fused the 8 Tao images into one, their power would be even greater. "When did your 8 Tao clans come to this island?" Qin Yun saw that Zhui Yaofan still hasn't attacked, so he knows that Zhui Yaofan is nervous. Zhui Yaofan appeared very arrogant on the surface, but he was not a person who underestimated his enemy. He was secretly on guard against Qin Yun. His entire body was in defense. He was waiting for Qin Yun's attack to arrive so that he could counter it. In the face of a powerful enemy that he did not understand, it was a good strategy to turn defense into offense. "We came a long time ago. This island belongs to our 8 Paths race," Zhui Yaofan said. "Qin Yun, I know you are very strong, but you are definitely not my match. You better obediently hand over the Divine King Heavenly Seal to me." Qin Yun finds it very ridiculous. He shook his head and said with smile, "You are truly naive, even more naive than the Purple Sun Elves. The naive one is you." Zhuo Yaofan shouted loudly. The small black cauldron in his hand suddenly flew out and like a stone, it ruthlessly charged towards Qin Yun. When the small cauldron charged over, it brought along a burst of black energy wave. It tore apart the earth and shook it. Although its speed is not very fast, its might is extremely dreadful. Qin Yun was originally on a boulder, but when the small cauldron charged over, the boulder was directly shattered. The ground he was standing on also looked like it was suddenly torn apart by someone. A very large crack appeared on it. The most dreadful thing is that the small cauldron's formidable pressure. It is unknown how it did it, but when it flew over, it produced a powerful energy wave that enveloped Qin Yun, causing him to sink into the ground. Boom! The cauldron suddenly became big and covered Qin Yun. "Ha ha! I told you that you are not my match." Zhuo Yaofan laughed loudly and then charged over with heavy and powerful step. Boom! The large cauldron covering Qin Yun was blasted away by Qin Yun's punch and flew into the sky. The smile on Zhuo Yaofan's face froze. He furiously roared and controlled the large cauldron to fall down like a meteor, smashing towards Qin Yun. Qin Yun sneered in a deep voice. He released a supergravity and brushed the air above him. When the large cauldron smashed down, it is as if it hit a soft bubble. It was immediately wrapped up by the supergravity and was unable to hit Qin Yun. "Damn it!" Zhuo Yaofan cursed in anger. Seeing his cauldron being wrapped up by Qin Yun's gravity, he promptly controlled the large cauldron to shake. The large cauldron shook crazily and suddenly exploded, turning into 8. The instant it exploded, it also tore apart the supergravity ball released by Qin Yun. It must be said that Zhuo Yaofan's 8 divine cauldron Dao images are indeed very strong. They can fuse and also separate. Now the 8 cauldrons are rushing towards Qin Yun from 8 directions. Qin Yun used light transformation sacred pupil to dodge in an instant and rushed towards Zhuo Yaofan at the same time. When he dodged, the 8 cauldrons collided together and once again fused into one large cauldron. At the same time, Qin Yun arrived in front of Zhuo Yaofan. He first released supergravity to suppress him, then the 9-sun divine hammer in his hand fiercely smashed down, unleashing heaven extermination 9 style. In an instant 2 hammers smashed down towards Zhuo Yaofan's head. These 2 ferocious and ruthless hammers released berserk energy waves that reverberated throughout the heaven and earth. If it was any other time, it would be enough to crush a Dao god's head. But Zhuo Yaofan actually blocked these 2 hammers. What Qin Yun did not expect is that Zhuo Yaofan's 8 cauldrons returned very quickly, or it could be said that they passed through space and returned to Zhuo Yaofan's body. Furthermore, they directly appeared on his head and transformed into a helmet. Qin Yun's 2 ferocious hammers landed on Zhuo Yaofan's small cauldron helmet. Although Zhuo Yaofan's head did not explode, the impact made him dizzy. He unceasingly cursed. "This guy." Qin Yun saw Zhuo Yaofan jump far away and did not continue chasing. Because the small cauldron has fused with Zhuo Yaofan's body and appeared on Zhuo Yaofan's skin and flesh, this can increase the strength of Zhuo Yaofan's body. Zhuo Yaofan did not dare to let his cauldron run out. Instead, he let the cauldron fuse with his body and form a defensive armor. He took out a sharp saber and charged at Qin Yun again. Qin Yun is not as easy to deal with as he imagined. Moreover, it is very dangerous. Therefore, Zhuo Yaofan no longer used the 8 cauldrons to attack but used them for defense. "Xiao Yun, this person's cultivation is much higher than yours and he also has 8 images. You won't be able to gain any advantage if you fight him head-on," Ling Yun said. And Qin Yun waved his hand and released 9 altars, forming a 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. At this time, Zhui Yaofan arrived in front of Qin Yun and instantly slashed down with thousands of saber light. The saber lights and saber shadows are like a violent wave that engulfed Qin Yun. Qin Yun raised his hand and released the Sun Heavenly Shield to block Zhui Yaofan's monstrous saber slash. Zhui Yaofan was sent flying by the Sun Heavenly Shield. He is secretly astonished. Qin Yun is much more difficult to kill than he imagined. He finally understood why even the Heavenly Demon Divine King and Divine King Jiang Xian hate Qin Yun to the bone. It is mainly because they, the Divine Kings, can't do anything to this person with an extremely low cultivation. Zhui Yaofan realized that Qin Yun is not easy to deal with. He wanted to leave immediately and ask for reinforcements. However, at this moment, he discovered that 9 mountain-like altars have appeared around him. Qin Yun rushed towards one of the altars and entered it. At this time, the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation opened. The altar shook and the 9 dragons roared. Dragon roars, lightning flashes and thunder rumbles accompanied them as they charged at Zhui Yaofan from all directions. In just an instant, Zhui Yaofan was bombarded until he screamed miserably. Qin Yun is inside an altar. Looking at Zhui Yaofan, who is being attacked by the array, he suddenly recalled that he released the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, but it was unable to block the 2 devils. The attacks of the 2 devils seemed to be able to penetrate any barrier. Jiang Jiuquan previously said that when besieging the central lair, the devil arrow insects shot out from the head on the abdomen of the 2 devils can penetrate the central lair's barrier. Qin Yun, you despicable and shameless bastard! If you have the guts, come out and fight me fair and square. Zhui Yaofan roared in pain. Your cultivation is so much higher than mine, what are you talking about? Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, if you were not greedy and wanted to hog my Divine King Heavenly Seal for yourself, you would not have ended up like this. Zhui Yaofan had long discovered Qin Yun. If he had fled early, Qin Yun would not have been able to catch up. After being modified by the 9 divine universe dragon pearls, the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation had become even stronger, but it was still unable to kill a Dao God realm expert in a short period of time. People from the Dao God realm were very strong, so it was normal for the formation to not be able to kill them instantly. Furthermore, Zhui Yaofan was not an ordinary Dao God realm. At this moment, being able to seal Zhui Yaofan and activate the killing formation to attack was already very impressive. The killing array that Qin Yun had activated mainly attacked the soul. Its attacks on the body were not too strong. This was because Zhui Yaofan's physical defense was very strong. Directly attacking his physical body would be very ineffective. Furthermore, Qin Yun wants to devour Zhui Yaofan's 8 Cauldron Dao idol. He had already cultivated 3 Sacred Heavens Dao images and planned to cultivate the Nether Sun Dao image next. But if he devoured Zhui Yaofan's 8 Cauldron Dao image, he would be able to directly cultivate his own Divine Cauldron Dao image. His Divine Cauldron Dao image looks like the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron. Zhui Yaofan's 8 Cauldron Dao images are all Sacred Heavens Dao images. If he could devour them all, it would be enough for Qin Yun to evolve his own Divine Cauldron Dao image into a Sacred Heavens Dao image. You want to snatch my Divine King Heavenly Seal and I also want to devour your 8 Cauldron Dao image. Qin Yun laughed mischievously in his heart. After Zhui Yaofan's soul was tortured for a while, his entire being became dispirited. Qin Yun closed the formation, released the heaven-locking chain to bind Zhui Yaofan, then rushed out and used the Nether Sun to devour Zhui Yaofan's Cauldron Dao image. You want to devour my Dao image? Zhui Yaofan screamed in horror. Quickly stop! Chapter 2403. Zhui Yaofan is in incomparable despair. He let out miserable screams and howls. He was arranged to stay here to keep an eye on the 9 Sun Heaven-raising pagoda. If Qin Yun comes out, he must return and report. But he thinks he is infallible. He thinks he can capture Qin Yun and obtain the Divine King Heavenly Seal. Then he can look down on Divine Desolate and become a domineering Divine King. Imagination is very rich, but reality is very cruel. Not only Zhui Yaofan did not obtain the Divine King Heavenly Seal, he even lost his life. Zhui Yaofan experienced incomparable pain after his Tao image was taken away. He did not faint. But thinking that he is done for, he fainted. This guy clearly discovered me early on. He did not run to report and instead attacked me. Isn't he just courting death? Qin Yun is like a rabbit. He threw Zhui Yaofan into the heavenly lion-dragon suppressing cauldron and burned him to ashes. You are a cauldron cultivator. Dying inside the heavenly lion-dragon suppressing cauldron is already a great show of respect. Qin Yun looked inside the Nether Sun's 8 cauldron Tao images. They are all sacred heavenly Tao images. After refining them, only a portion of them can be converted into usable energy. But Qin Yun believes that it is enough to evolve his Divine Cauldron Tao image. Even if I cultivate Divine Cauldron Tao image, I can only cultivate 4. Qin Yun thought about how many Tao images he will have to cultivate in the future and feels that the road ahead is still very long. Originally he wanted to go to the central region to take a look, but now that he has the possibility of breaking through, he can only wait and cultivate first. He entered the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda again and seriously cultivated inside. He controlled the Nether Sun to quickly refine the 8 sacred heavenly Tao images. These 8 Tao clans' sacred heavenly Tao images are truly extraordinary. Qin Yun is pleasantly surprised and said, Yuner, release your little Nether Sun and help me refine them. Alright. Ling Yuner came out and said with smile, Xiao Yun, how about I cultivate Sun and Moon Heart Sutra together with you? I haven't cultivated with you for a long time. Alright. Qin Yun thought about it. He feels that cultivating Sun and Moon Heart Sutra with Ling Yuner will allow him to refine even faster. Ling Yuner also has a Nether Sun. She can cultivate with Qin Yun through Sun and Moon Heart Sutra and help Qin Yun refine even more energy. And Ling Yuner herself can also become stronger. She is a special Tao image of Qin Yun. If she becomes stronger, it also means that Qin Yun can become stronger. Ling Yun-er's charming and lovely fairy is very happy at this moment. She excitedly cultivated with Qin Yun. With Ling Yun-er's help, the process of refining the 8 saintly heavenly Tao images was much faster and more effective. A few days later, one of Qin Yun's sacred tribulation gates started trembling. It is about to evolve. This time, the Tao image had evolved into the saintly heavenly Tao image, which was different from before. Previously, he needed an opportunity, but now he didn't. This was mainly because he had devoured the cauldron Tao image. Ling Yuner is lying on the bed in a charming and elegant manner. Her lily-white hand is gently caressing Qin Yun's chest, and she said in low voice, Xiao Yun, the 8 Tao clans' Tao images are very easy to refine. They are clearly very strong sacred heavenly Tao images, but they are very easy to devour. Yes, their Tao images are indeed very special. Qin Yun nodded and pinched Ling Yuner's charming face. They all have 8 Tao images, and cultivating them is so easy. Of course they are special. If an ordinary person has 8 Tao images, without a heaven-defying opportunity, they would not be able to cultivate them. Ling Yuner said with charming smile. Later, if you meet people from the 8 Tao clan, pay attention to their Tao images. If it is suitable, just devour them. Qin Yun shook his head with smile and said, If they take the initiative to provoke me, I won't let them off. The 8 Tao clan are very strong. If Qin Yun doesn't use the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, it would not be easy to kill Zhui Yaofan. Xiao Yun, Sister Shang Yun said before that when you want to cultivate the next sacred heavenly Tao image, you should go find her. Now that you want to cultivate the divine cauldron Tao image, if you don't go find her, won't she be unhappy? Ling Yuner giggled and said, How are you going to explain it to her? Qin Yun stroked her lovely and beautiful fairy ears and said with mischievous smile, I will say, I have been occupied by a rogue fairy like you. While Qin Yun and Ling Yun are flirting, Qin Yun's body suddenly rushed out with divine light. Is the fourth sacred heavenly Tao image coming out? Ling Yun very happily said. Qin Yun let out a long sigh and released the divine tribulation gate. The space on the floor of the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda is very big. After releasing the divine tribulation gate, the gate directly opened. Soon after, a golden cauldron appeared. The new heavenly lion-dragon suppressing cauldron is bright and dazzling. There are 9 mighty heavenly lion heads on the cauldron. They look very lifelike. The cauldron lid has a very large heavenly lion head. The body of the cauldron has 9 heavenly lion carvings. It looks very domineering. Fourth sacred heavenly Tao image. Qin Yun controlled the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron and returned to the divine tribulation gate. Ling Yun also put on her clothes, kissed Qin Yun and returned to the divine tribulation gate. She wants to help Qin Yun take a look at the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. Qin Yun secretly tested the divine tribulation gate, released the divine power of the 4 sacred heavenly Tao images and condensed them together to form a very strong sacred heaven divine power. If the current me meets someone like Shui Yaofan again, I can win without using the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. Qin Yun can sense that after cultivating the sacred heavenly Tao image, his strength has clearly increased. He estimates that after cultivating the 8th and 9th sacred heavenly Tao images, he will be able to fight against Shin Tianjun. If he wants to fight against a Shin Tianjun like Divine King Jiangxian, he might still be a bit lacking. But against an ordinary Shin Tianjun, there won't be any problem. Qin Yun asked the Star God about the Star Dome Divine Mirror situation. It is still evolving. The Star Dome Divine Mirror has been in the hands of the Divine Star Emperor for many years, but they don't have a Star God Divine Throne, so their research on the Star Dome Divine Mirror is not very thorough. Now that the Star Dome Divine Mirror is in the hands of the Star God, it is like it has been reborn. With the help of the Star God, it is evolving. Qin Yun walked out of the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and looked all around. There is no one around. He has been cultivating with Ling Yun for the past 2 to 3 days. He thought that the 8 Tao Emperors would send people to keep an eye on the Star Dome Divine Mirror. But there is not a single person. Strange? What is going on? There is no movement from the Divine Sun heavenly beasts. Their lair is being attacked. Qin Yun is very puzzled. Because it is reasonable to say that the lair of the Divine Sun heavenly beasts has been attacked for a few days, they should have already sensed it and should have counterattacked those powers. But the entire Purple Sun heavenly island is still very calm, there are no waves. Qin Yun stored away the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and rushed towards the central area. If the Purple Sun heavenly island was really destroyed because of the war, then there is a high chance that there is a nether sun in the center. Qin Yun plans to devour the nether sun and let the nether sun Tao image evolve into the sacred heavenly Tao image. Just as Qin Yun was rushing over, he suddenly sensed someone flying towards him. He promptly opened his heavenly eye and looked at the sky behind him. He saw a graceful and beautiful figure appear. It is a woman with a white face covered and wearing a white tight-fitting outfit. This woman is very beautiful. Just her eyes are filled with an indescribable blurry autumn ripple. Just looking at it makes one feel intoxicated. Of course, Qin Yun is the only man who can see this woman's charming side. It can be said that her charming and tender feelings were born for Qin Yun. Sister Shuyan. Qin Yun is very shocked. One of the 9 Sun Divine Maidens, Luiwei Shuyan, has actually appeared here. Luiwei Shuyan is still a slaughter god. She has been going back and forth between Myriad Worlds Divine Moon and Myriad Worlds Divine Court. Xiao Yun. Luiwei Shuyan floated down gracefully. The descent of this divine maiden is extremely breathtaking. She landed in front of Qin Yun and took off her veil. That dreamlike exceptional beauty caused Qin Yun to be somewhat dumbstruck. Lui Shuyan gently hugged Qin Yun's waist and smiled. Her beautiful eyes flickered with charming ripples, overflowing with charm. Sister Shuyan, I missed you. Why are you here? Qin Yun hugged this dreamlike, exceptionally beautiful and charming woman. I also missed you. Lui Shuyan tightly hugged Qin Yun and kissed him for a while. After kissing, the two of them held hands and walked towards the center of Purple Sun Heavenly Island. Xiao Yun, I came here this time to enter the outer boundary. Lui Shuyan faintly sighed. I don't know how long I'll be gone to the outer boundary. Qin Yun is startled. The first time he heard about 9 Sun Divine Maidens' outer boundary, it was Divine Sky Race's Shin Ruoming who told him. Shin Ruoming's original meaning was that if 9 Sun Divine Maiden entered the outer boundary, there would be a great change. It would most likely be an emotional change. Sister Shuyan, what exactly are you going to experience in the outer boundary? Qin Yun promptly hugged Lui Shuyan. He is very worried in his heart. Don't worry. We won't leave you. Lui Shuyan giggled. Her laughter is very mischievous and charming. Qin Yun can't help but caress her dreamlike beautiful face. He said with slight frown, Myriad Heaven's divine moon wants to enter the outer boundary. Do you also want to enter the outer boundary? Lui Shuyan said with smile. You don't need to worry about Myriad Heaven's divine moon. The reason why we didn't tell you is because we can handle it. And you, our great divine king, your matter is even more important. Then what exactly is your outer boundary? Are you going to become Dao gods? Qin Yun asked. After we enter the outer boundary, we might become divine heaven monarch. Lui Shuyan looked at the distant sky. The direction she is looking at is precisely the location of the third myriad heaven's divine Sunday, divine heaven monarch. Qin Yun said with smile. If you become divine heaven monarch, you might be stronger than me. Lui Shuyan said with light smile. If we are not stronger than you, how can we protect you? Protecting you is also our mission. Sister Shuyan, could it be that you came to this island to enter the outer boundary? Qin Yun suddenly thought of something. Not really. I passed by here and found out that you are on the island, so I came to take a look. Lui Shuyan said. My outer boundary is inside the divine sun. Although Qin Yun can roughly guess, he is still greatly shocked. Yueme is ranked first. She has already entered the ancestral divine sun. Yuelon is ranked second. She has entered the 20th myriad heaven's divine sun. I am ranked third. Now I want to enter the third myriad heaven's divine sun. Lui Shuyan lightly frowned and said, Originally, we wanted to wait for all 9 myriad heaven's divine sun to appear before we can go to the outer boundary together. However, a sudden change occurred, so we moved it forward. Chapter 2404. Qin Yun originally wanted to enter the third universe divine sun, but now that he knows Lui Shuyan wants to go in, he doesn't know if he should continue or not. Sister Shuyan, what is inside the third universe divine sun? Can I go in? Qin Yun asked. I heard that cultivating inside can allow one to advance by leaps and bounds. Lui Shuyan shook her head. I also don't know, but I can definitely go in. If others want to go in, it will be very difficult. Alright, I will see the situation first. Qin Yun said with smile. I still want to go in and take a look. Lui Shuyan looked ahead and said, Xiao Yun, if you go in, you must be careful. It might be very dangerous because outside the myriad world's divine sun, there will be a large number of divine sun heavenly beasts patrolling. Qin Yun suddenly understood why the divine sun heavenly beasts left and never returned. So it is to protect the myriad world's divine Sunday. The other 2 myriad worlds' divine sun might also be in the same situation. Sister Shuyan, The nest of the divine sun heavenly beasts is being besieged. Qin Yun simply explained the situation to Lu Yushuyan. Lu Yushuyan frowned and said, Xiao Yun, it's too dangerous here. That heavenly emperor is very strong, you better not meet him now. The central region is being besieged by many heavenly lords. With Qin Yun's current cultivation, once he is discovered, the one who will be besieged will be him. What is going on with the heavenly emperor? Sister Shuyan, how much do you know about this emperor? Qin Yun feels that Nine Sun Divine Maiden must know a bit about this. The heavenly emperor's past life was the Nine Heaven Emperor. He once sent an envoy to Divine Moon to propose to Yu Shangyun. When Yu Shangyun was in the Nine Heavens, she was a Nine Heavens goddess. She more or less knows about this emperor. She knows that he is very strong. Lu Yushuyan said, This guy originally only had 9 Tao images, but after he died, he was reborn in the heavenly god Desolate and had 10 Tao images. This bastard is also a 10 Tao image person. What? Qin Yun is very shocked. So you must be careful. Although the Heavens Venerables obtained the inheritance of the 9th Heavens Venerables and even ate the 9th Heavens Venerable's body, the two can be said to be completely different. Lu Yushuyan said, I don't know much about this person's situation. Qin Yun said, I know that this guy is in a rather weak stage. Now is the best time to kill him. Although Qin Yun looked calm, he felt an unprecedented sense of danger in his heart. The main reason was because he knew that there were 10 Tao images of the supremacy sovereigns. There were people with 10 images in the past, but none of them lived long, unable to mature. That Empyrean sovereign was different. He might be at the Tao God realm or the Divine Lord realm. Such a fellow was even born in the Divine Desolate, so he posed a great threat to Qin Yun. Lu Yushuyan shook her head, then tightly held Qin Yun's hand and warned, Xiao Yun, you must not go look for that guy, it is too dangerous. I know. He did want to kill the Empyrean supremacies, but he also knew that it would be very dangerous. Therefore, he did not plan on taking action immediately. I'm going to the Third Myriad Realm's Divine Sunday Leave Violet Sun Heavenly Island as soon as possible. Lu Yushuyan suddenly looked at Qin Yun with coquettish eyes that are as tender as water. Her dreamy and beautiful eyes are filled with a soul-stealing charm. Xiao Yun, I might be gone for a very long time. Can you spend more time with me before I leave? Talk to me, hug me, pinch me, and kiss me. The beauty's delicate lily-white hands hooked around Qin Yun's neck, her eyes blurred as she looked at her handsome lover. Qin Yun smiled and caressed the beauty's face. Then he released the 9 Sun Heaven-raising pagoda, carried the beauty horizontally, and walked into the pagoda. Inside the pagoda, Qin Yun and Lu Yushuyan are playing affectionately before parting. They are very happy, causing the two of them to be intoxicated. They almost forgot that they are on a very dangerous island. After an unknown period of time, they reluctantly parted. Qin Yun looked at Lu Yushuyan flying towards the Myriad Realm's divine sun and couldn't help but recall their wonderful reunion. He lightly sighed in his heart, Sister Shuyan, you must return safely. He stored away the 9 Sun Heaven-raising pagoda and continued towards the central region. Lu Yushuyan told him to stay away from trouble and quickly leave the island. However, he has no intention of leaving. The Purple Sun elf race is still here. The elf emperor will definitely go and help the divine sun heavenly beast. Qin Yun feels guilty towards the Purple Sun elf race, so he must go and take a look. If the Purple Sun elf race is in danger, he can think of a way to help them. Furthermore, Qin Yun is not willing to let the evil people succeed. Although Divine King Jiang Xian, Heavenly Demon Divine King, 8 Tao race and Dual Devil race come from different god realms, because they are all extremely evil, they came together. Especially Divine King Jiang Xian. He looks like a proper person, but even his son Jiang Jiuquan is afraid of him. Although I am not their match right now, it is not a problem for me to ruin their good deeds. Qin Yun increased his speed and flew towards the central region. Not long after, he heard a burst of loud noise and entered a region filled with violent winds. Sand and dust flew everywhere in this region, occasionally creating an incomparably shocking sandstorm. The sandstorm blotted out the sky and covered the earth, bringing along fierce and berserk lightning that rushed out wave after wave. Facing this kind of sandstorm, if it was someone with a slightly weaker cultivation, they would not be able to withstand a few waves and would be seriously injured. And at this moment, Qin Yun is also traversing through the sandstorm. From time to time, his body would be bombarded by violent lightning, but to him, it was only a little bit of pain. He didn't even try to block the violent lightning. Instead, he increased his speed and advanced forward as if he was facing the wind and breaking through the wave. After his flying speed increased, a golden bubble appeared around Qin Yun's body, able to scatter the violent lightning that came crashing down. There are so many storms, is it because a great battle broke out in front? Ling Yuner said. Could it be that they have attacked the central region? The great formation in the central region might have been set up with the help of the myriad realms divine Sunday. It definitely won't be that easy to break through. Qin Yun is very certain that the myriad realms divine sun can indeed help in setting up formations. The great formations set up are all naturally formed. For example, the formation of the 100,000 Sword Mountain is impossible without the help of the myriad realms divine Sunday. There is a very strong purple sun divine power. Could it be that the purple sun fairies are participating in the battle? Qin Yun said with a frown. Jiang Jiuchuan previously said that the experts of those few powers are unable to break through the barrier. Only the dual devil races, devil arrow insects, can enter. Logically speaking, it's impossible for them to cause such a huge commotion. Then there is only one possibility. The purple sun fairies are fighting. Not long after, Qin Yun finally broke through a few violent sandstorms and saw the central region of the island. The lair of the divine sun heavenly beast is a very spacious plain. At a glance, there is no divine sun heavenly beast inside. However, this spacious plain was surrounded by many thick golden formation pillars. They formed a powerful barrier that protected the plain. Qin Yun guessed that the beast egg is most likely buried underground. Outside the barrier, there are hundreds of purple-haired fairies fighting fiercely with thousands of dual devil race people, setting off waves of violent energy. They really started fighting. Qin Yun immediately opened his heavenly eye and searched for others. Very quickly, he saw the figures of Divine King Jiangxian and Heavenly Demon Divine King. They brought their own people and hid in the distance to watch. They did not participate in the battle. The 8 Dao race emperors are the same. They brought thousands of powerful clansmen and watched the battle between the purple sun fairies and the dual devil race people from afar. They did not have any intention of taking action. The purple sun fairies don't have many people who can fight because nearly half of them have returned to the divine universe Purple Sun Mountain. The elf emperor only left 200 to 300 elites by his side, and they are now fighting against the dual devil race people. Qin Yun is looking for the sovereign emperors. To him, this is the greatest threat. If the sovereign emperors really have 10 images, then Qin Yun would no longer think that he is the heavenly Tao. Because the sovereign emperors are also very likely to grow into the heavenly Tao. Boss Dongfang, Boss Gongsun and Boss Linghu are all gathered together, floating high in the sky to watch the battle. They are here to watch the show and see the situation of the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. They have no intention of participating. Qin Yun looked around but did not find the sovereign emperors. This made him even more anxious. Whatever. Let's go help the Elf Emperor first. Qin Yun released the Sky Universe Overlord. After the Sky Universe Overlord grew, it reached a height of 20 to 30 meters. It looked like a huge divine martial god. Its skin is purplish red and its entire body is surging with purple gas. It is wearing a dark blue crystal armor, and the mighty dragon helmet looks even more domineering. After the Overlord appeared, its two dragon claw-like legs stomped on the ground and let out a loud dragon roar. Qin Yun released his sun-suppressing divine arrow as the Overlord's weapon. The Sky Universe Overlord suddenly appeared, and the divine universe purple energy on his body is very strong. This caused everyone present to be extremely shocked. The Sky Universe Overlord rarely shows himself, so not many people recognize him. Moreover, he is in the Purple Sun Heavenly Island, so no one suspects that he is Qin Yun. It is very normal for a huge guy covered in divine universe purple energy to appear in the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. Qin Yun is at the heart of the Sky Universe Overlord. This is the center of energy circulation. He is controlling the Heavenly Universe Divine Sun and Divine Universe Purple Sun's power to transfer out. The Heavenly Universe Divine Sun can strengthen the Blue Crystal Armor's defense, and the Divine Universe Purple Sun's power can strengthen the Sky Universe Overlord's attack power and muscle strength. Quickly release the Devil Arrow Rope, the two Devil Race Emperors shouted. The two Devil Race Emperors are now fighting the Elf Emperor. The Elf Emperor is not only fighting the two Devil Race Emperors, the other two Devil Race Divine Heaven Monarchs are also attacking the Elf Emperor. The Elf Emperor can fight one against three Divine Heaven Monarchs. His strength is indeed very strong. The Sky Universe Overlord suddenly appeared in the middle of the two Devil Army. These two Devil Army kept spitting out Devil Arrow insects, which brought great pressure to the Purple Sun Elves. The Sky Universe Overlord landed in the middle of the two Devil Army. The sun-suppressing divine arrow suddenly became more than 100 meters long and swept across the ground. Chapter 2405. By controlling the Empyrean Overlord, Qin Yun sucked a large number of weaker dual fiend clansmen onto the sun-suppressing divine arrow. After the sun-suppressing divine arrow devoured the energy of the two devils, it condensed an extremely strong and terrifying berserk power that could explode at any time. Although the group of dual devils that Qin Yun killed was not strong, the large number of devil arrow insects they released gave the Purple Sun Elves a great deal of pressure. Now, at least 2,000 devilmen have been killed by Qin Yun. The pressure on the fairies has been greatly reduced. As for godly monarch Jiang Xian and company, who were watching from afar, they released their powerful psyche powers to probe Qin Yun's skycosmic overlord. Qin Yun's overlord puppet took many years and used a large amount of materials to refine. When it was first refined, it was named Divine Universe Overlord. Later on, Qin Yun obtained the Heaven Cosmic Divine Sunday. He felt that the Heaven Cosmic Divine Sun could be used with the Overlord, making it even more powerful. Therefore, he changed its name to Heaven Cosmic Overlord. Boss Dongfang and the others were also very curious about this Overlord, because the Overlord's defense was very strong, especially the dark blue crystal armor on his body. The divine power that was released was the power of the Divine Sun of the Universe. Many people were familiar with the blue Divine Sun of the Universe, especially the experts from the 9 heavens. Above the 9 heavens, there was also a celestial divine sun. On the Overlord's body, in addition to the celestial divine sun power, there was also the purple sun divine power. The purplish-red skin was formed because of the purple sun divine power. In the 9 yang divine spirit, the Overlord would sometimes go to the Divine Universe Purple Sunday. However, he mainly cultivated in the Heavenly Universe Divine Sunday. The Celestial Divine Sun's divine power was more suitable for defense, while the Purple Sun's divine power was more suitable for offense. At this moment, a large number of devil arrow insects attacked the Sky Universe Overlord from all directions. Qin Yun transferred the Celestial Universe Divine Sun's divine power into the Overlord's body. The blue crystal armor spewed out intense blue divine light. Roar! The tyrant let out a furious roar, and his body shone with divine light like a divine sun in the sky. God Monarch Jiang Xian, Sky Fei Divine King, and the others from the 9 heavens were shocked when they saw the intense divine sunlight. Qin Yun only had a basic understanding of the heaven cosmic divine sun, but he could already use a portion of its divine power. Just a tiny portion of the heaven cosmic divine sun's power was able to produce such immense might. If the heaven cosmic divine sun were to mature, coupled with Qin Yun's improved control over it, its might would be unimaginable. A large number of devil arrow insects were directly obliterated by the powerful blue rays of light, turning into mist and dissipating. The black arrow in the Overlord's hand was like a spear. It had absorbed a lot of powerful energy from the dual demons, and it swept out once again. The dual devils were locked onto by Qin Yun's powerful mental power. Even though they were hundreds of feet away from the sun-suppressing divine arrow, they were still sent flying by the powerful suction force. Once their bodies came into contact with the sun-suppressing divine arrow, they would immediately shrivel up and fall to the ground like dried corpses. The Sky Universe Overlord gripped the gigantic sun-suppressing divine arrow in his hand and spun on the spot like a gale sweeping away fallen leaves. In just a few blinks of an eye, a large number of dual devilmen had been killed. Out of the thousands of dual demon cultivators, only a few hundred remained. One must know that the reason why the 2 demons were able to suppress the purple sun elf race was because they had the advantage in numbers. A few heavenly lords were fighting against a single elf sovereign. Another reason was because of their torrential rain of devil arrow insects to interfere. At this moment, there are only a few hundred devil cultivators left. They have no advantage in numbers and no devil arrow insects to interfere with the purple sun elf race. This damned big guy! The dual devil race emperor's eyes are completely red. They looked at the Sky Universe Overlord and shouted in anger. Friends, are you still not going to help? The dual devil race emperors said this to Divine King Jiang Xian and others. If the dual devil race continues to fight, they will not be able to defeat the purple sun elf race. The other factions are also rather apprehensive towards the purple sun elf race. If they join hands to attack the purple sun elf race, they can indeed win, but they will also suffer great losses. None of them want to lose, not to mention the sudden appearance of the Overlord. Moreover, they are attacking the lair of the divine sun heavenly beasts. If they defeat the purple sun elf race and suffer great losses, they will face the encirclement of the returning divine sun heavenly beasts. Then they will definitely be completely annihilated. After thinking about it, they have a tacit understanding to not make a move and just watch from the side. Retreat! The dual devil race emperors are incomparably furious. They let out heaven-shaking and earth-shaking roars. He can also see through the thoughts of the 8 Tao race emperors, Divine King Jiang Xian and Heavenly Demon Divine King. He knows that he has been sold out. The dual devil race emperors immediately brought a few divine heavenly monarchs and are retreating. The purple sun elf race can't kill living beings. At most they can heavily injure the dual devil cultivators. Therefore, it is very easy for the dual devil cultivators to retreat. Want to run? Qin Yun sneered in his heart. His sun-suppressing divine arrow has devoured so many dual devil cultivators, now it is time for it to erupt. The small group of dual devil cultivators promptly left the battle and gathered together, distancing themselves from the purple sun elf race. The purple sun elf race did not chase after them, instead they continued to stay there. At this moment, Qin Yun controlled the Overlord to tightly grasp the sun-suppressing divine arrow and vigorously thrust it at the group of dual devil cultivators. The sun-suppressing divine arrow flew out. When it flew out, a gale suddenly rose from all directions. A large amount of white light mist surged over and crazily rushed into the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The sun-suppressing divine arrow had already devoured a large amount of energy, and now that it flew out, It is crazily devouring the divine sun power of the heaven and earth. It has to be known that this is the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. It is located in the vicinity of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. The sun-suppressing divine arrow has some kind of relationship with the Myriad Realms Divine Sun, so the devouring of the divine sun power is extremely fast. The sun-suppressing divine arrow pierced forward and exploded with a monstrous pressure. The space in all directions surged and fluctuated violently, creating surging ripples. This arrow pierced forward like an incomparably huge beam of light. Like a ferocious lightning bolt that split the sky, it instantly pierced through the group of dual devil cultivators. The instant the sun-suppressing divine arrow swept past the hundreds of dual devil cultivators, it suddenly exploded with the energy that it had been accumulating for a long time. The explosive sound was as if the world was collapsing. The sound wave vibrated, it was as if the heavens were roaring. The energy that exploded out is even more shocking. The intense light that exploded out from the center made it impossible for people to see what was happening. After the loud sound and the shock wave, a berserk energy wave surged in all directions. It is unknown whether the hundreds of dual devil cultivators are dead or alive. What was shocking was that, after the sun-suppressing divine arrow pierced through the twin devils, it continued flying towards God King Jiang Xian. Damn it! God King Jiang Xian cursed and immediately teleported away. There were quite a few Tao gods beside him, and they were all loyal subordinates that he brought from the 9 heavens. Because they couldn't escape that quickly, they were killed in an instant. After killing a few of divine King Jiang Xian's subordinates, the sun-suppressing divine arrow finally ran out of energy. It shrunk and quickly returned to Tyrant's hand. The others hurriedly moved away from the Overlord, fearing that it would shoot an arrow at them at any time. The reason why that arrow was so powerful was mainly because it had devoured a large number of dual devil cultivators. This was the power of the sun-suppressing divine arrows, 10,000 devour ability. After a while, the world gradually calmed down. Of the hundreds of dual devil cultivator just now, only a few were left. The dual devil race emperors and the 4 Shin Tian monarch level dual devil cultivators were not dead yet, and the injuries on their bodies were not very serious. As for the other dual devil cultivators, they were all blasted into mist by the incomparably powerful energy just now. From this, it could be seen that Shin Tianjun was much stronger than the Tao God realm. The people of the Tao God realm died without even leaving a trace, but Shin Tianjun was fine. This time, Qin Yun could be considered to be fighting a Shin Tian monarch level opponent head-on. He also had a preliminary understanding of Shin Tian monarch level expert. What the hell are you? The dual devil race emperors looked at the tall and valiant overlord from afar. The head on his abdomen and the head on his neck spoke at the same time. Qin Yun did not reply and instead walked towards the elf emperor. He had also seen that quite a few purple sun elves had been poisoned by the devil arrow insect poison. This poison was very difficult to expel. The purple sun elves could only suppress the poison. It would take a very long time to completely expel it, but to Qin Yun it was very easy. The elf emperor could tell that the Sky Universe Overlord had no ill intentions. He said, "Are you the guardian of this island?" Qin Yun did not answer. Instead, he waved the sun-suppressing divine arrow and slowly slid it over the hundreds of purple sun elves. It produced a suction force that sucked out the devil arrow insects from their bodies along with all kinds of insect eggs. Although the process is very painful for those purple sun elves, they are very happy in their hearts because their poison is more or less detoxified. With a bit of rest, they will be able to completely recover. The dual devil race emperors are even more furious. They are also secretly alarmed. They never expected that those devil arrow insects would be taken away so easily. Everyone present can't see through the Sky Universe Overlord's strength. They only know that it is a very strong attack and defense thing. Qin Yun's arrow just now required extremely harsh conditions to appear. Now that it can't appear, he didn't continue to attack. He deliberately kept it mysterious in order to intimidate those powerful enemies. Otherwise, if a few powerful Shintian monarchs besieged the Sky Universe Overlord, they might suffer heavy injuries. At this moment, many huge light balls suddenly appeared in the sky. These light balls are like huge stars that landed on the plains. There are a total of dozens of light balls that slowly landed on the plains inside the barrier and then gradually became smaller. Very quickly, they transformed into dozens of tall and sturdy middle-aged men. Seeing this scene, everyone immediately realized that the Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts have returned. Or it could be said that these Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts have been watching from the outside. Let's go! Divine King Jiangxian ran the fastest. Others also ran like a swarm of bees. They can't afford to provoke the Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts. Moreover, this is their territory. Qin Yun thought that the Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts would chase after them, but they are surprisingly calm and have no intention of fighting. Many thanks for your help. A middle-aged man walked towards the Elf Emperor and loudly expressed his thanks. You're welcome, the Elf Emperor said. We have enmity with the dual devil race. He thought about how dozens of his clansmen were killed and his heart is filled with grief. Your Purple Sun Elf race can stay here for a long time in the future, the middle-aged man said again. This is allowed by the Beast King and the Myriad Realms' Divine Sun. The Purple Sun Heavenly Island is considered a second home for the Purple Sun Elf race. They can cultivate here and become stronger. Many thanks, the Elf Emperor said very gratefully. Those Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts didn't say much. They nodded towards the Elf Emperor and drilled into the ground. The Elf Emperor looked at the Sky Universe Overlord and said, Thank you very much. Elf Emperor, no need to be polite. You must be careful in the future, don't trust others so easily. Qin Yun secretly sent voice transmission to the Elf Emperor. Chapter 2406. Qin Yun did not know if he could enter the Myriad Realms' Divine Yang, but he felt that since he was already here, he had to give it a try. Even if he couldn't enter, he could still observe the situation from the outside, because there might be other opportunities to enter in the future. Qin Yun flew out of Purple Sun Sky Island and entered the thick white fog. After he entered the light mist, he suddenly felt a very powerful aura hidden within the light mist. This made him immediately put up his guard. Very quickly, Qin Yun discovered that these auras belonged to Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts. A Divine Yang Heavenly Beast's body was very big. If it was nearby, it would definitely be easy to discover. But Qin Yun can't see any Divine Sun Heavenly Beast. Even if he uses his Heavenly Eye, he can't see any huge Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts in the surroundings. After flying carefully for a while, he suddenly realized that some of the Divine Yang Heavenly Beasts were still outside the Purple Sun Sky Island bubble. However, these Divine Yang Heavenly Beasts had all turned into balls of light and were hiding. Previously, there were many balls of light that suddenly descended from the sky and landed on the plains in the center of the Violet Sun Heavenly Island. Then, they turned into human forms, and those people were all transformed from Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts. The Divine Yang Heavenly Beast did not leave the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. When Qin Yun thought of this, he was even more puzzled. If the Divine Yang Heavenly Beast hadn't left the island, then why hadn't it appeared before? Only after the two demons left did a small portion of them appear. Could it be that the Divine Sun Heavenly Beast is not worried that they can break the barrier? Qin Yun thought. It is also possible that the Divine Sun Heavenly Beast is waiting for an opportunity to attack. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, the twin demon race has suffered heavy casualties. In the end, only the two demon race emperors and a few Shintian lords could leave. Do you think that after the dual demon race emperors flew out of the Violet Sun Sky Island, they were killed by the Divine Sun Heavenly Beasts? Extremely possible. Qin Yun hurriedly nodded his head and chuckled. These Divine Sun heavenly beasts are truly sinister. Even if the Divine Sun heavenly beasts did not attack him, he still has to be vigilant. Who knows if the Divine Sun heavenly beasts will suddenly attack him? After flying for half a day, Qin Yun finally left the Purple Sun Sky Island and did not sense the aura of the Divine Sun heavenly beasts anymore. Is it safe? Qin Yun looked ahead and opened his heavenly eye, paying attention to the surroundings. Up ahead was where the Myriad Realms' Divine Sun was. If he continued flying, he would be able to reach the edge of the Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. However, the Empyrean sovereigns have never appeared. It is very likely that they have been hiding. Rumble. Just as Qin Yun thought that the Empyrean sovereigns are nearby, the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda is suddenly attacked. The entire pagoda violently trembled. Qin Yun, who is inside the pagoda, nearly fell from the violent tremors. This bastard! Qin Yun cursed in a low voice. It really is the Empyrean sovereigns, this guy is here. Boom boom. Another 2 loud sounds reverberated in succession. The 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda also emitted many sounds, as if it is about to shatter. Bastard, quickly stop! Qin Yun said angrily. Come out if you have the guts. A wild laughter came from outside. From the voice, it seems to be a youth. The Empyrean sovereigns are babies born by the 9th heaven Empyrean. This baby was born in the Empyrean Desolate, and he even ate the 9th heaven Empyrean Desolate's corpse. After eating the corpse, he immediately grew up, and he also has the 9th heaven Empyrean Desolate's memories. Therefore, this is not an ordinary baby. He inherited all the memories of the 9th heaven Empyrean Desolate and completely grasped all the methods and schemes of that powerful Empyrean Desolate. You are the Empyrean Desolate? Qin Yun said with sneer. You bastard, you finally showed yourself. That's right, I am the Empyrean Desolate. You guessed it was me, you have some brains. The Empyrean Desolate laughed loudly and said, Come out and offer up the godly king heavenly seal. I only want your godly king heavenly seal. I have no interest in your dog life and your trash. The godly king heavenly seal was born for me. You want my godly king heavenly seal? How naive! Qin Yun said with a chuckle. Qin Yun, you were also born for me. You are my stepping stone. As long as I capture you, the godly king heavenly seal will be mine. This is a kind of test for me. The Empyrean Desolate's majestic voice spread out. Just by speaking, the sound waves he released caused the entire 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda to violently shake. You're my stepping stone. Because of your appearance, I can become even stronger. Qin Yun also experienced the strength of this Empyrean Desolate, as expected of a super-strong divine heaven lord with 10 Tao images. Qin Yun, you also have 10 Tao images. But your 10 Tao images are not orthodox. The Empyrean Desolate said with sneer. Your Tao images are unorthodox, they are not born according to the Tao inheritance. This means that you are not worthy to be the heavenly Tao. Qin Yun's heart trembled. This Empyrean Desolate actually knows about the connection between the 10 Tao images and the heavenly Tao. Whether I am worthy or not is not up to you to decide. Qin Yun coldly groaned and said, Indeed, it is not up to me to decide. Because that's how heavenly rules work. My 10 Tao images are born from pure orthodoxies. Each of my Tao images is bestowed by the orthodoxies, and they follow the heavenly rules and orthodoxies. Sovereign monarchs laughed. What about your 10 Tao images? It's all scraps and scraps, it's all messed up. Messy Tao images. Qin Yun tightly clenched his fists and roared, Don't insult my 10 Tao images. When he wanted to use the Star Dome Divine Mirror, Dongfang Bingbing found it strange that he didn't have a Star Tao image. Qin Yun now realized this, but he never despised the 10 Tao images inside his body. It was because this was a Tao image that had accompanied him as he grew up. It could be said that it was born because of him, that it was powerful because of him. It was a part of his life, tightly connected to his soul, passing through his 9 lives and 9 worlds. Heavenly rules and Tao inheritance? I don't believe in these things. It doesn't matter if I am not the heavenly Tao, I never wanted to be the heavenly Tao. Qin Yun suddenly recalled his mysterious past. The Empyrean Desolate in front of him might be related to his past. Heavenly rules and Tao inheritance is the orthodoxy, it is the rule of the heaven and earth, no one can destroy it. You broke the curse of the 10 images, you have already broken the heavenly rules and Tao inheritance. And I am here to fix you, the Empyrean Desolate said as he crazily attacked the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. I broke the curse of the 10 images, so the heavenly rules and Tao inheritance should kill me. But aren't I still alive and well? What heavenly rules and Tao inheritance? That is bullshit, Qin Yun said with sneer. The Empyrean Desolate sneered and said, I am the true heavenly Tao. I am the form of heavenly Tao nirvana rebirth. You broke the heavenly rules and Tao inheritance, so I am here to destroy you. Ha ha ha, this is ridiculous. If you are the true heavenly Tao, why are you barking like a dog outside? If you really obtained the 10 images bestowed by the heavenly rules and Tao inheritance, why do you need my divine king heavenly seal? Qin Yun laughed. I said before, your existence is to test me. You are a tool created by the heavenly rules and Tao inheritance after billions of years. You are equivalent to a puppet with an independent personality. Your purpose is to train me. The Empyrean Desolate sneered and said, At this moment, if you die by my hand, your fate will be fulfilled. Bullshit! Qin Yun shouted angrily. Qin Yun, think carefully about your life, especially your current life. Don't you think it is too carefree? Qin Yun, think carefully about your life, especially your present life. Don't you think it's too carefree? All of this is to make you stronger, to make you think that you are the one chosen by the heavens. All of this is to make you stronger, to make you think that you are the one chosen by the heavens. And your true identity is a tool destined to become my stepping stone. The 9-sun divine maiden will leave you soon. Her true mission is to make you stronger and then become my stepping stone. The Empyrean Desolate laughed madly. His laughter was filled with merciless mockery. Qin Yun's heart shook as if he was struck by lightning. But he quickly calmed down. This is not true. Don't believe him. Ling Yun'er suddenly shouted. Xiao Yun, Yuelon and the others' feelings for you are real. Chapter 2407. The heavenly sovereigns outside are unable to break the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda for a while, but Qin Yun can't guarantee that it won't be broken later. The heavenly sovereigns are indeed very powerful. At this moment, the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda looks like it is about to explode. Qin Yun's 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda has been attacked by many experts before, but it has never been as violent as it is now. If this continues, then even if the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda is not broken, it will definitely be damaged. Qin Yun can't see what the heavenly sovereigns outside look like, but he can feel their incomparably terrifying divine power. Moreover, when the heavenly sovereigns attacked the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, they used very powerful divine weapons. He opened his heavenly eye and can capture the figures of the heavenly sovereigns. The heavenly sovereigns are moving back and forth, crazily attacking all sides of the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Qin Yun can see that the weapon in the hands of the heavenly sovereigns is a long sword. What made Qin Yun alarmed is that the shape of the long sword is very similar to the heavenly divine sword that appeared before. The heavenly divine sword was swallowed by Qin Yun's 9 desolate divine saber and turned into heavenly divine saber. And the sword in the hands of the heavenly sovereigns is exactly the same as the heavenly divine sword from before. This bastard, what kind of existence is he? Qin Yun doesn't completely believe the words of the heavenly sovereigns. In contrast, he believes the words of the swindler Tian Dao Zi more. Tian Dao Zi has already followed Qin Yun and recognized Qin Yun very much. This also explains a lot of things. However, the heavenly sovereigns know a lot of things, and there are also 10 Dao images. Xiao Yun, don't worry about him, let's go quickly. Control the 9 sun heaven-raising pagoda and fly away. Ling Yuner said. Qin Yun released the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation and let it operate inside the pagoda, allowing the pagoda to obtain stronger defensive power. After the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation operated, Qin Yun also controlled the pagoda to fly quickly. The 9 sun heaven-raising pagoda is now like an arrow, shooting towards the myriad realms divine sun in front of it. The bottom of the pagoda spewed out the divine power condensed by the formation and pushed the pagoda to shoot forward. The divine power condensed by the formation inside the pagoda shot out is very powerful. Even the heavenly sovereigns can't stop the pagoda from flying. The great formation in the pagoda was operating, and the thrust it erupted was extremely powerful. Even the venerable sovereigns of the heavens couldn't completely stop this flying pagoda. Other than that, the 9 sun sky-raising pagoda was absorbing the power of the myriad suns as it flew. The thick haze was the divine power of the myriad realms divine Sunday. After the 9 dragons heaven origin formation was activated, it could also help the sky-reaching pagoda absorb the divine power of the myriad realms divine sun to strengthen its defense and propel it forward. Yuner. Qin Yun released the holy tribulation gate that Ling Yuner is in. After the tribulation gate opened, a devouring power appeared. Ling Yuner's little nether sun operated and produced a very strong devouring power. Qin Yun released another sacred tribulation gate. It is the tribulation gate where the nether sun Tao idol reside. After the tribulation gate opened, an even stronger devouring force erupted, crazily devouring the divine sun power outside. The 9 sun sky-raising pagoda's defense became stronger and stronger under the combination of all sorts of divine powers, and its flying speed also increased. All the venerable sovereigns frantically attacked the 9 sun sky-raising pagoda. However, the violent 10 elephant divine powers he shot out were all knocked away by the sky-raising pagoda. Now the 9 sun sky-raising pagoda is protected by a very strong barrier while flying at high speed. All the venerable sovereigns were able to shake the 9 sun sky-raising pagoda before, but now it is very difficult for them to break the barrier. This wretched guy, what the hell did he do? All the venerable sovereigns cursed in their heart. He could see that Qin Yun's heart has been stimulated by his words and is now wavering. All the venerable sovereigns can't understand how Qin Yun can suddenly calm down and make the 9 sun sky-raising pagoda so strong. What he doesn't know is that Qin Yun has a Tao spirit called Ling Yun. In the past, Ling Yuner was the nether sun spirit. She helped Qin Yun restrain the nether sun and prevent Qin Yun from being devoured by the nether sun. Now Qin Yun can control the nether sun, and Ling Yuner has become his spiritual partner. She is his spiritual pillar and can constantly remind him. So what if you hide inside? In the end, you will die in my hands. All the venerable sovereigns roared, "You are destined to be killed by me. This is set by the heavenly rule Tao orthodoxy, you must die. The one who will die is you." Qin Yun shouted in a deep and cold voice. He has become very calm. "Ha ha ha, you are just a tool. How can you kill me, the true heaven's chosen one?" All heaven's venerable sovereigns laughed maniacally. "Your existence is to be my sparring partner. You are just a puppet. When the time comes, heavenly rule can kill you with a single thought." Although Qin Yun doesn't believe all the venerable sovereigns, he is even more curious about his own life. He has always wanted to know what kind of existence he is. Had his fate always been in the hands of others? If what all the venerable sovereigns said is true, that Qin Yun's existence is to pave the way for others, he is just a tool, then how can he change this situation? Moreover, is the entanglement between him and 9 Sun Divine Maiden also arranged by the heavenly rule Tao orthodoxy? Could it be that my existence is to become the prey of the heaven's chosen one? Qin Yun's mind is filled with countless thoughts. Xiao Yun, don't think so much. All these years you've been doing this. You have experienced so much, you are an independent existence, no one can control you. Ling Yuner said. I've experienced so much. Could it be that someone purposely made me experience all of this? Qin Yun thought back to the few lifetimes he had been tortured by the heavenly law divine realm. An incomparably painful memory suddenly surged into his mind. If it was in the past, he would have fallen into madness and darkness because of those painful memories. But now, when he thought of many beautiful things, he could immediately calm his mind. Ling Yuner felt very gratified because this time, Qin Yun could quickly calm down without her reminder. Xiao Yun, maybe you are what that guy said, you were born for his trial. But, in the process of growing up, you have already changed your destiny. Ling Yuner said with a smile, they definitely didn't expect you to meet me. Maybe it's because you met me that you changed the trajectory of your life. Maybe so. Qin Yun smiled and said, no one can decide my fate. My fate is in my own hands. The 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda is flying even faster. Although heavenly venerables can catch up, if they keep going, they will definitely run into those divine sun heavenly beasts. Quickly stop. Heavenly venerables furiously roared. You wretched tool, stop for me. You have to cooperate with my trial, you have to listen to my orders. Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, you can't even break my 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda, what the hell are you trying to do? Don't tell me that the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy you are familiar with never taught you how to break my pagoda? Bullshit 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda, it was made from a pile of broken sun heart stone. If I recover my peak strength, I can cut this broken pagoda with one sword strike. Heavenly venerables furiously said. The 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda was indeed made from ordinary sun, but later on, it grew together with Qin Yun and experienced many things, becoming stronger and stronger. Qin Yun suddenly felt that the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy is even more ridiculous. They actually don't know how powerful his 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda is. Ling Yuner said with smile. Xiao Yun, I think the 9 Sun Divine Spirit is also something they don't know. If the 9 Sun Divine Spirit reaches great success, it will have 9 divine suns inside, it will definitely be a very powerful divine tool. Qin Yun has been refining this divine tool for a very long time, even after using 9 lives and 9 lives, he still could not completely refine it. Back then, I never thought that the 9 Sun Divine Spirit would be so powerful. Maybe I subconsciously felt that I must make something like this to change my fate. Qin Yun looked at his wrist. He thought of many things, especially about 9 Sun Divine Maiden. Xiao Yuelan and Xie Qiru have 9 Yin Divine Spirit in their hands. This is definitely a variable. Suddenly, a burst of roar came from the front. They are entering the territory of the Divine Sun Heavenly Beast. The Divine Sun Heavenly Beast is guarding the 3rd Myriad Realm's Divine Sun. No one is allowed to disturb the Divine Maiden inside. Luiyue Shuyan is the 9 Sun Divine Maiden. She can very easily enter the interior of the Myriad Realm's Divine Sun, but others can't. Hearing the beast roar, heavenly venerables did not continue chasing. Forget it, if you want to die, then go ahead. As long as you die, the Divine King Heavenly Seal will descend upon Heavenly Divine Desolate, and at that time, it will definitely be obtained by me. Heavenly venerables gnashed their teeth as they watched the 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda disappear into the churning energy waves ahead. Heavenly venerables did not continue chasing, but they also did not leave immediately. Instead, they floated in place and stared at the 9 Sun heaven-raising pagoda in the distance. He is worried that Qin Yun will suddenly turn around. Qin Yun is now forced to enter the myriad realms divine sun. He must face those divine sun heavenly beasts. In the eyes of heavenly venerables, whether it is facing the divine sun heavenly beasts or entering the divine sun, it is a dead end for Qin Yun. After a while, 3 people appeared behind heavenly venerables. These 3 people are the 3 big bosses of the heavenly law pawnshop. Dizun, what's going on? You couldn't capture Qin Yun? Boss Gongsun frowned and said, Aren't you the new heavenly Dao? Boss Linghu is also very suspicious, he asked. Dizun, since you are the new heavenly Dao appointed by the heavenly law Dao, with your strength, why are you still unable to capture Qin Yun? Boss Dongfang secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If Qin Yun was captured, his daughter Dongfang Bingbing would also be in trouble. The inheritance of the heavenly law Dao is incomplete. Moreover, there is a big discrepancy in the records. Qin Yun's mission is to be my prey, a puppet in my trial. Heavenly Venerable said coldly, but the heavenly law Dao did not teach me the method to destroy that heaven-raising pagoda. Boss Dongfang said, the heaven-raising pagoda was originally not strong, but after following Qin Yun for so many years, it became stronger and stronger. Dizun, you better familiarize yourself with the records of the heavenly law Dao and understand your prey better. Humph, do you think I am not diligent? Heavenly Venerable said angrily. Qin Yun is very different from what I know. There must be some deviation. Chapter 2408. Boss Dongfang saw that Boss Linghu is being ridiculed and said with smile, Warm face met cold buttocks? I already told you, that guy can't be fawned over unless you are willing to be his dog. Boss Linghu's expression turned ugly. He sneered a few times. Boss Dongfang, if that guy is really the heavenly law, then he will definitely take back the heavenly law pawnshop. At that time, we can imagine what will happen to us. At worst, we don't have the heavenly law pawnshop. What can he do to us? Even Big Brother Heavenly Law was not so heartless. Boss Dongfang laughed and said, You think too highly of that guy. Boss Gongsun chuckled and said, Dongfang, you should be the happiest one right now, right? Your daughter is still with Qin Yun. If Qin Yun is not dead, then your daughter is still alive. Boss Dongfang was still smiling mischievously a moment ago, but now his expression is very gloomy. He said, The one who has the biggest headache is me. Bingbing is a very talented girl, but she has become Qin Yun's slave. Of course I am happy that she is still alive. Brother Dongfang, do you think Qin Yun will be killed in the end? If it is really as recorded in the heavenly law Dao tradition, Qin Yun will be killed by Dizun and your daughter will also die with him. Boss Gongsun said, I will do my best to help Bingbing remove the master-servant contract before he dies. Boss Dongfang's eyes are deep as he looked at the bright light in front of him. There is a deviation in the heavenly law Dao tradition. Otherwise, Qin Yun would already be dead. Boss Linghu said, Maybe it is not a deviation, it is just that Dizun is too hasty and thinks that he can kill Qin Yun at this stage. Boss Dongfang sighed and said, You all should know that Qin Yun is not easy to kill. Last time in the heavenly law pawnshop, we did not attack him because we were afraid that we would not be able to kill him. Boss Gongsun said, Qin Yun will eventually die in the hands of Dizun. At that moment, the new heavenly law will descend upon divine desolate and Dizun will unify the heavens. This matter is very complicated, we should just wait and see. Boss Dongfang said, This won't do, I have to find a way to contact the old guy from Ancient Desolate and ask him about the situation. Boss Gongsun said, I will also go. Boss Linghu finished speaking and flew towards a direction. Boss Dongfang looked ahead, then shook his head and sighed, then turned around and flew away. Inside the nine-sun sky-raising pagoda, Qin Yun finally got rid of the heavenly sovereigns, but his situation is still very dangerous because it is very likely that he will encounter a powerful divine sun heavenly beast. He did not know the connection between ancient land and the heavens' venerable sovereigns. He also wanted to know what had happened to ancient land, but he did not know how to get there. Divine Son, heavenly beast, should be very gentle. Ling Yuner walked out of Holy Tribulation Gate. This charming and beautiful long-legged fairy is leaning on Qin Yun's bosom and hugging him very intimately. Qin Yun gently caressed her back, kissed her face, pinched her gorgeous and charming face and said, "Yuner, my background is not simple at all. When I got the heavenly eye, I heard a voice calling me home. Later on, Mu Yu told me many things. Don't worry about this." Ling Yuner smiled and said, "Even if you have a past, it was many years ago. No matter where your soul comes from, you will always be my good Xiao Yun." And Qin Yun hugged the coquettish fairy and kissed her forehead. Ling Yuner also warmly shrunk into Qin Yun's bosom. Qin Yun hugged this delicate and charming fairy and did not think about the matter of heaven's venerable sovereigns anymore. He does not believe that his fate will be manipulated by others. He is not willing to become someone else's trial by fire. If he truly dies, the people around him will also suffer the same fate. Qin Yun looked at the charming long-legged fairy in his bosom, and became even more resolute. He cannot die, otherwise Ling Yuner will also die along with him. "Little Yun, how is the seed you planted growing now?" Ling Yuner asked. "They have already sprouted," Qin Yun said, and looked at the situation of the seeds inside the Nine Sun Divine Soul. Inside the Nine Sun Divine Soul, the Divine Sun heavenly soil has transformed into a very large lotus flower disc. The seeds he obtained from the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl are planted inside the Divine Sun heavenly soil. The sprouts that grew from the 5 seeds were all different. It seemed like they were 5 different kinds of divine medicines. The divine medicines grown from the seeds of the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl are certainly not simple. "Xiao Yun, I want to return to Holy Tribulation Gate to cultivate." Ling Yuner's eyes are flowing with charming intent as she spoke to Qin Yun in soft voice. "My good Yuner, kiss kiss." Qin Yun laughed, then hugged Ling Yuner and kissed her. Ling Yuner sweetly smiled and then returned to Holy Tribulation Gate. She can also become stronger by cultivating. After she becomes stronger, she can control Little Nether Sun to cooperate with Qin Yun. Qin Yun said a few words to Dongfang Bingbing and told her to stay inside the small residence. Then he looked at Star God. Star God still has not finished evolving the Star Heaven Divine Mirror. Star Heaven Divine Mirror is a heavenly divine tool. It must have its own unique and formidable aspect. Qin Yun hopes that Star Heaven Divine Mirror will be strong enough to fight against heaven's venerable sovereigns. Half a day passed by and the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda suddenly stopped. It is not that Qin Yun stopped, rather he entered a very strange region and was blocked by a soft power, causing him to be unable to move forward. He promptly went out and stored the Nine Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda. "You still haven't reached Myriad Realms, Divine Sun?" Ling Yuner asked. "It's very close," Qin Yun said. "I'll be there in about an hour." He opened his heavenly eye and looked around. He did not see any huge Divine Sun heavenly beasts. No Divine Sun heavenly beasts nearby? Qin Yun felt that it is very strange because Lu Yu Shuyan said before that there will be a large number of Divine Sun heavenly beasts patrolling nearby. The soft power ahead should be formed by a barrier that can prevent outsiders from entering Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. The current state of Myriad Realms Divine Sun is to let 9 Sun Divine Maiden enter the place. Not only will there be Divine Sun heavenly beasts patrolling and guarding, the Divine Sun itself will also be protected by a barrier. Qin Yun tried using all kinds of methods but he was unable to penetrate that soft barrier. This barrier can block people and all kinds of powerful energy attack. It won't reflect any damage and also won't appear to attack. "I can't enter." Qin Yun is anxious. He used all kinds of methods to attack, but he was unable to break in. Xiao Yun, let Little Queen Ant help. Little Queen Ant can bring you into the dark space and go in from there. Ling Yun'er said. Will this cause great harm to Little Queen Ant? Qin Yun asked worriedly. Because all along, he never let Little Queen Ant do anything dangerous. He only let her help him condense Space Divine Power Pearl. No problem. Entering and exiting the light and dark space is very easy for Little Queen Ant. Ling Yun'er said with smile. No matter how strong Myriad Realms' Divine Sun is, it can't seal the connection between light and dark space. Dark space can be said to be the foundation of all space. However, only creatures like Space Xian ants can wander inside the dark space, and then through the dark space, they can easily reach any place in the light space. Then, Qin Yun released the Little Ant Queen. Little Queen Ant was previously a ball of white light with a pair of wings. But now she has turned into a little fairy wearing a white dress. Little Queen Ant stood on Qin Yun's palm and flapped her pair of snow-white fairy wings. After she came out, she very happily shouted, Big Brother Yun! Big Brother Yun! Beautiful Little Queen Ant, Big Brother Yun needs your help. Qin Yun said with smile. Big Sister Yun told me. I will help Big Brother Yun immediately. Little Queen Ant's delicate voice is very pleasant to listen to and very cute. Her beautiful little face is also filled with a sweet smile. Thank you. Qin Yun's mood suddenly became very good when he saw these lovely fairies. Little Queen Ant stood on Qin Yun's palm and released spatial divine power, forming a bubble that wrapped around Qin Yun. After the bubble was formed, the bubble's membrane was originally very thin, but it gradually became thick. Let's go. Little Queen Ant sat on the edge of Qin Yun's palm. She excitedly shook her two little legs and shouted with smile. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yun's vision darkened and he entered the tyrannical chaotic space. Qin Yun is very familiar with this chaotic space. Chaotic space can be said to be between light and dark space. To go to the dark space, one must first enter the chaotic space. Little Queen Ant continued to control the bubble to open a spatial crack and entered a very dark and quiet space. After entering this space, Qin Yun felt as if he has sunk into a very deep trench. The pressure made him feel suffocated. This place is filled with terrifying pressure. Although Little Queen Ant condensed a bubble with a very thick membrane, the circular bubble has been compressed into an oval shape. Other living beings are unable to come to the dark space, but Qin Yun is here now. This is mainly because of Little Queen Ant's ability. Qin Yun's entire body is currently uncomfortable. He found it hard to breathe, as if he could be turned into a meat patty at any moment. After Little Queen Ant found the path, she immediately controlled the bubble to teleport. An incomparably bright light suddenly appeared, piercing Qin Yun's eyes. That bubble also completely cracked at this moment. All right. Little Queen Ant is no longer as lively as before. Her tender and adorable beautiful little face is filled with exhaustion. It's been hard on you, Little Queen Ant. Qin Yun said gratefully. You're welcome. Little Queen Ant smiled sweetly at Qin Yun and then returned to the Nine Sun Divine Spirit to rest. In the first pearl of the Nine Sun Divine Spirit, Little Queen Ant can also enter the Divine Universe Purple Sun and absorb the Divine Universe Purple energy to recover. Yang Yang often sleeps inside the Divine Universe Purple Sunday. Qin Yun doesn't know how strong this ninth heaven Xian sparrow has become. If he wants to know how strong Yang Yang is, he will have to find an opportunity to let her go out and fight. Qin Yun has already crossed that strange barrier. He plans to let Yang Yang take action if he is besieged by Divine Sun heavenly beasts. Yang Yang, have you eaten and slept enough? Big Brother wants you to help fight. Qin Yun lightly shouted towards the first pearl of the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. Yang Yang, who is playing hide-and-seek with Mo and Little Jade Rabbit, suddenly jumped out of the Nine Sun Divine Spirit and floated beside Qin Yun. This several-year-old cute little girl is actually a very ferocious ninth heaven Xian sparrow. When Qin Yun saw her cute little face carved from jade, he can't help but pinch it. Chapter 2409. Yang Yang is the ninth heaven Xian sparrow. Although she is a little girl now, her body is very big. Now that she is in an advantageous environment, even if she faces a divine sun heavenly beast, she is not afraid at all. Yang Yang is bouncing in the air, humming a little tune along the way. From time to time, she would circle behind Qin Yun and lie on his back, letting him carry her to play. From time to time, this little girl dressed in red would deliberately float in front of Qin Yun. She would pout her face and act cute, causing Qin Yun to want to pinch her extremely cute little face. However, she would immediately fly away and not let Qin Yun pinch her. Qin Yun can only chase after her, laughing and playing along the way. Big brother, divine sun is in front. I have a very familiar feeling. It's like I want to go home. Yang Yang jumped and ran, then suddenly stopped. After Qin Yun caught up to her, he pinched her little face and asked, "Go home? Yang Yang, is this myriad realms divine sun the same as the previous 9 suns?" "More or less." Yang Yang pointed ahead and said with smile, "Big brother, I will bring you back to my hometown to play." Yang Yang also did not play anymore. She lied on Qin Yun's back and let him carry her to fly. She lay on Qin Yun's back and played with his hair, tying up clumps after clumps of hair for him. "Yang Yang, you are the 9th heaven Xian sparrow. Do you have any memories of the 9 heavens?" Qin Yun asked. "A little bit." Yang Yang blinked her watery eyes, recalled some things, then shook her head. "I also can't remember too much. In short, I am still a child. I will eventually grow up to become the 9th heaven vermilion bird." "9th heaven vermilion bird?" Qin Yun said in shock. "That is the strongest me." Yang Yang giggled and said, "Big brother, wait until I become stronger. I will be able to bring little Mo, little rabbit and little ant queen to fly everywhere. No one will dare to bully big brother." Qin Yun suddenly felt that Yang Yang's background is not simple. He suspects that Yang Yang has a great connection with the world above the 9 heavens. Qin Yun is flying with Yang Yang on his back. He opened his heavenly eye to pay attention to the movement ahead. "Yang Yang, if you discover anything, don't be in a hurry to attack. Discuss it with me first," Qin Yun reminded. He was worried that Yang Yang would discover the divine sun heavenly beast and rush out to fight. "Got it." Yang Yang smiled and said, "Brother, I'll help you massage your back." The little girl's fist lightly tapped on Qin Yun's back, injecting a warm energy into him. It was extremely comfortable. "Yang Yang is so obedient," Qin Yun said with smile. "Brother, I really miss Sister Qin Qing and Sister Tianzi. When will I see them again? Did something happen to them?" Yang Yang pouted and asked in a low voice. Her beautiful eyebrows were slightly knitted, and her expression was full of worry. "They are fine. I will bring them back as soon as possible," Qin Yun said with smile. "Do they often play with you inside the 9 sun divine soul?" "They often tell me stories and sing for me. Their singing is very good. They even danced for me. They were very beautiful when they danced." Yang Yang's little face was filled with beautiful memories. "Got it. When I get back, I'll contact them." Qin Yun also thought of asking Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi to come back. Sometimes they could help him a lot. The little song that Yang Yang is humming was taught to her by Zi Qingqing. Her singing is very good and her voice is very sweet. While Yang Yang is singing in a low voice, Qin Yun suddenly saw a huge phantom flash past in front of him. He used his heavenly eye to see that it is as if a huge city in the sky is flying past at lightning speed. The most terrifying thing is that, after that huge phantom passed by, it did not make any sound, not even a single fluctuation was released. "What a big fish!" Yang Yang also lightly shouted in amazement. "Yang Yang, can you beat this kind of big fish?" Qin Yun asked. He also saw that the phantom that passed by earlier is shaped like a huge fish, swimming in the dense and scorching light mist. It is undoubtedly a divine sun heavenly beast. In the blink of an eye, it flew very far away and did not produce any energy fluctuation. I don't know. Even if I can't beat them, I'm not afraid of them. Yang Yang is not worried at all and said, Brother, they are afraid of me. Afraid of you. Qin Yun is somewhat surprised. Yang Yang is formed from sun spirit, but that is also the sun spirit inside the previous sun. Most of the previous suns had already fallen, and the sun that Yang Yang was on had also fallen. And now that the divine sun has appeared, Yang Yang's sun spirit seems to have some kind of connection with the divine sun. That's right, that big fish was scared away by me. Yang Yang giggled and said, Brother, do I look very scary? Of course not, you are very cute and very beautiful, Qin Yun said with smile. He carried Yang Yang on his back and continued forward. Now he is not that nervous anymore. Yang Yang, this ninth heaven Xian sparrow, is quite powerful. She can actually scare away a divine sun heavenly beast. Brother, how many scoundrels are chasing after you? Yang Yang suddenly asked. I heard from Sister Qingqing that you are being chased by many scoundrels. Many, I can't even count them. Most of them can't beat me, only a few of them are older and have higher cultivation than me, so they want to rob my things and even want to kill me, Qin Yun said. Next time you meet them, let me come out and beat them up, Yang Yang very righteously said. Her pair of curved eyebrows suddenly became vertical, her expression became serious. All right, if I can't beat them, I'll let Yang Yang come out and help, Qin Yun said with smile. He is truly reluctant to let this cute little girl risk her life. He knows that Yang Yang is very strong, but he doesn't want her to face a strong enemy. If she is really injured, his heart will be in pain. Qin Yun was originally very worried that he would be besieged by divine sun heavenly beasts, but along the way, the divine sun heavenly beasts he met all fled like frightened fish. They didn't attack him at all. Yang Yang can sense those divine sun heavenly beasts. Once there were 3 divine sun heavenly beasts in the vicinity, but Yang Yang greeted them while laughing, directly scaring them away. Qin Yun doesn't know what the divine sun heavenly beasts are afraid of. Is it because of Yang Yang's strength or because of her identity as the ninth heaven Xian sparrow? After flying like this for half a day, Qin Yun is finally very close to the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. It can be said that he can see the surface of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. The surface of the Myriad Realms Divine Sun is made of bright golden white crystal. A large amount of intense light gushed out from the crystal. The surface of the crystal is definitely very solid and very hot. It is impossible to penetrate through the thick layer of golden white crystal and enter the interior of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. Big brother, follow me. Yang Yang suddenly came down from Qin Yun's back and floated in front of Qin Yun and then flew in a direction. Qin Yun flew behind Yang Yang. The Myriad Realms Divine Sun is very big. After getting close, they can't feel that it is round at all. When flying on the surface of the Myriad Realms Divine Sun, they only feel that it is an incomparably spacious crystal flat ground. Half a day later, Yang Yang brought Qin Yun to the other side of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. The entrance is there. Yang Yang pointed to the front and shouted excitedly. Then, she bounced up and down in the air, rushing over. Qin Yun hurriedly followed and saw that on the golden white crystal flat ground, there is a circular 6 starlight array. Teleportation array. Qin Yun is secretly surprised. So this is the entrance to the inside of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. There are no holes on the surface of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. If you want to enter the interior, you can only use teleportation. When he was about to land on the crystal surface, Qin Yun felt an incomparably scorching heat rising up. Fortunately, he is wearing the Heaven Trampling God Boot. The Heaven Trampling God Boots is one of the Sun Souls. It allows him to land on the surface of the incomparably scorching divine Sunday. It's so hot. Qin Yun followed Yang Yang and walked towards the teleportation array. Just as they were about to go over, the teleportation array suddenly lit up and a dozen people appeared. Yang Yang, be careful! Qin Yun shot forward and hugged Yang Yang, then promptly retreated a few steps. Yang Yang said in a low voice, "Big brother, don't be afraid. This is my hometown, no one will dare to bully you." Qin Yun did not let go of Yang Yang. Instead, he continued to hug her and prevent her from running around. Qin Yun is not clear about the current situation of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. Perhaps it is not what Yang Yang imagined. A dozen or so youths suddenly appeared in the teleportation array. Clearly, they came out from the interior of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. These dozen or so people are all wearing armor and weapons made of golden white crystal. Looking at their posture, it is obvious that they are going to fight. "Are you people from the ground?" A youth walked out. His eyes are filled with contempt as he looked at Qin Yun and Yang Yang. "Who are you people?" Qin Yun asked. These people did not realize that Yang Yang is the ninth heaven Xian sparrow. Clearly, they are not people from the same hometown that Yang Yang is familiar with. "We are the descendants of the divine sun," the youth shouted loudly and proudly. "You crawling insects from the ground, it is not easy for you to come here. Then I will leave your corpse intact." "Descendants of the divine sun?" Qin Yun frowned and asked. "Did you know that the Nine Sun Goddess entered the Myriad Realms Divine Sunland?" "Of course I know. The goddess is the daughter of the divine sun." The youth suddenly flew into a rage out of humiliation and said in a deep voice, "You bastard, you actually know the Nine Sun Goddess? A crawling insect like you is not worthy to know the existence of the goddess. You only know how to use your filthy thoughts to blaspheme her. Not only do I know of her existence, I have also seen her." Qin Yun curled his lips and said. He even kissed and hugged her. He just didn't say it out loud because he was worried that the youth would explode from anger. "Shut up. Nonsense, the goddess is so high and mighty that even we don't have the qualifications to see her. How could a crawling insect like you see her peerless beauty?" The youth flew into a rage and rushed towards Qin Yun with his spear in hand. This youth is at the Tao God Realm. The dozen or so youths behind him are also at the Tao God Realm. In addition to their equipment, their strength is indeed very strong. Even if Shun Tianjun came, he might still be beaten to a pulp by them. "Big brother, let me do it!" Yang Yang suddenly struggled free from Qin Yun and waved his hands. 9 purple gold ribbons suddenly flew out and became very long. Those 9 ribbons are the beautiful 9 long tail feathers of the 9th heaven Xian sparrow. Chapter 24:10. Qin Yun was originally very worried about Yang Yang, but seeing how powerful this little girl is, he felt both happy and shocked at the same time. Yang Yang, who has yet to transform into her original body, is actually this powerful. "All of you, get out of my way!" Yang Yang shouted. The 9 beautiful purple gold ribbons in her hand danced wildly, sweeping out waves of scorching air. The purple gold energy enveloped the dozen or so youths. At the moment, Qin Yun could not tell what cultivation level Yang Yang was at because from his point of view, Yang Yang had not reached Shin Tianjuan's cultivation level. She had not reached Shin Tianjuan's cultivation level yet she was able to suppress so many powerful Tao gods. Her current strength was definitely not bad. Those dozen or so youths were all at the Tao God realm. Furthermore, they all had powerful equipment on them. Yet, they were beaten senseless by Yang Yang. Qin Yun had already taken out the 9 Sun Divine Hammer and transferred the Divine Hammer Tao image into the Divine Hammer. The heaven-trampling god boots he was wearing also began to tremble slightly, frantically extracting divine power from the golden white crystal. Below Qin Yun's heaven-trampling god boots is the surface of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. It is formed from golden white crystal that contains a large amount of divine power. It can be said that it contains an extremely vast amount of energy. The heaven-trampling god boots our sun's soul, so it can now extract an extremely large amount of divine power. Perhaps it was because of the sun's soul, Qin Yun was able to easily extract the power of the divine sun. Yang Yang's entire body is surrounded by a golden white light. It can be seen that she is also absorbing the divine power of the divine sun to fight. Bugs from the ground, you are too arrogant. I will chop you all up. The youth in the lead had his face whipped by Yang Yang's ribbon, leaving behind a burn mark. This caused him to fly into a rage out of humiliation. You scoundrels, I want to return to my hometown. What right do you have to stop me? Yang Yang shouted angrily. The 9 ribbons in her hand became stronger and stronger, more and more violent. It was originally formed from her tail. She did not need any power to control the 9 tail feathers to erupt with a very strong divine power. Qin Yun also arrived beside Yang Yang and secretly released supergravity, enveloping her without a sound. The group of youths also knew how terrifying Yang Yang is. At this moment, they all rushed towards the teleportation formation, wanting to teleport back. However, just as they passed, they felt their bodies become very heavy. Originally, they were running, but now they could only walk. Bearing that formless weight, they slowly took heavy step. What was even worse was that the 9 tail feathers in Yang Yang's hand violently whipped over. When they landed on the golden white crystal armor on their bodies, a series of loud explosions rang out. The dozen or so youths near the teleportation formation were sent flying far away in an instant. They were sent flying by the furious Yang Yang and then fell to the ground. They were suppressed by the supergravity released by Qin Yun, unable to get up. Descendants of the Divine Sun, is that all you have? Qin Yun said with a sneer. You guys aren't strong, but your tone is very arrogant. You treacherous and despicable worms. Get! Before the young man could finish, his mouth was slapped hard. Although Yang Yang's tail feathers looked like beautiful ribbons, when they lashed out, they could even break weapons. When it landed on the young man's mouth, a burst of purple gold lightning fire erupted. The young man's mouth was smashed crookedly until it exploded. What alarmed Qin Yun was that Yang Yang's attacks seemed to be able to restrain these people. Yang Yang's long and beautiful tail feathers looked weak and flexible. They emitted a purple-gold light, but when they attacked, their power was extremely fierce. The golden-white crystal armors on the dozen or so youths were cracked. If they continued to be hit, those armors would definitely be destroyed. Although Qin Yun did not personally attack, he could tell that those armors were not simple. If not for the protection of those armors, the bones in their bodies would have long since been crushed by Qin Yun's supergravity. From what I see, you look more like worms. Qin Yun said mockingly. With your little strength, you actually have the courage to be so arrogant. You truly don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Shut up, you will definitely regret it. No matter where you hide, we, the descendants of the Divine Sun, will tear your corpses into 10,000 pieces. A young man shouted with a face full of anger. These youths are still speaking very arrogant words, they are all ruthless words. Qin Yun and Yang Yang are not afraid at all. Just you wait. The leading youth's voice is filled with resentment. After a deep roar, his body suddenly exploded. Yang Yang and Qin Yun are both stunned. Soon after, the bodies of the other youths also exploded one after another, turned into white mist and drilled into the golden white crystal ground. Qin Yun and Yang Yang immediately rushed over. They can see more than 10 white light balls drilling into the thick crystal ground. And all around them are dismembered corpses. Big brother, I didn't kill them. Yang Yang's small eyebrows are knitted together, her cute little face is filled with doubt. How did they die? They said so many ruthless words just now and did not beg for mercy. They are not afraid of us killing them. Qin Yun looked at the scorching crystal ground and said, They must have escaped. Escaped? Yang Yang is somewhat confused and said, Why did they run? Where did they run to? They abandoned their bodies and drilled their souls into the crystal ground. Qin Yun tightly gripped the 9 Sun Divine Hammer, poured divine power into it and vigorously smashed it down on the ground. Boom! Divine power exploded, the sound is very loud. However, after the divine hammer's power hit the ground, it did not produce any vibration. That powerful divine power poured into the crystal ground and then disappeared. So hard. Qin Yun is not too surprised. When Yang Yang's 9 tail feathers lashed the ground, he could see that the golden white crystal ground is very hard. Are those guys still alive? When will they come and take revenge for us? Yang Yang is not afraid of those people, on the contrary, she is looking forward to their arrival. Let's enter the divine sun first. Qin Yun smiled and gently pinched Yang Yang's little face. Big brother, carry me. Yang Yang giggled and jumped onto Qin Yun's back. Qin Yun carried the little girl and walked towards the hexagram teleportation formation. He stood on the teleportation formation and released his blood-soul power to envelop the runes of the teleportation formation. To open this kind of teleportation formation, one usually needs talismans or something like that. However, Qin Yun does not need it. He released his blood-soul power and inserted it into the runes inside the teleportation formation to find the method to open the formation. Teleportation formation requires a lot of energy, but this teleportation formation is directly set up on the surface of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. It can be opened by absorbing the divine power of the Divine Sun. Yang Yang, let's go, Qin Yun said with a smile. And Yang Yang lied on Qin Yun's back and tightly grabbed his clothes. After the teleportation formation was activated, they quickly arrived at their destination. After the teleportation was successful, Qin Yun suddenly felt an incomparably scorching heat attack him. In that instant, he felt as if his body was about to be melted by the heat. The blood in his body is boiling, his bones are burning and he is feeling dizzy. He immediately released his divine power to protect his body. The temperature inside the divine sun is extremely high. Qin Yun used the imperial heaven divine power to flow inside his heavenly body, allowing the heavenly body to unleash its full potential and block the bone-piercing heat. Yang Yang is fine. After defending, Qin Yun began to pay attention to his surroundings. This is the interior of the Myriad Realms Divine Sun, but Qin Yun does not know where it is. According to his understanding, the interior of the Divine Sun usually has many regions. The most central region is the core region and also the most mysterious region. And at this moment, the place he is at is boundless. The sky is emitting golden white light. The ground under his feet is also golden white crystal. The difference is that the golden white crystal here is even denser and even hotter. Someone is coming. Yang Yang suddenly shouted in a low voice. Big brother, run! Those people are very strong. Are they really that strong? Qin Yun does not see anyone. Run! Yang Yang shouted again and then pointed her small hand in a certain direction. Qin Yun did not ask any more questions. He directly used the Space Divine Power Pearl stored inside the Nether Sun to use Transcending Void Step. However, the space inside the Myriad Realms Divine Sun is very stable. Qin Yun is unable to immediately use Transcending Void Step. The consumption is huge. Qin Yun suddenly sensed danger approaching. He can only use 3 Space Divine Power Pearls in one go and use Transcending Void Step to traverse several 100,000 feet. In the area where he had just been, an extremely intense light suddenly appeared on the crystalline ground in a radius of tens of thousands of feet. Then, a dense crowd of people appeared. These people are all wearing golden white armor, they are all descendants of the Divine Sun. Among this group of people are the dozen or so youths who self-destructed earlier. Those 2 crawling insects are over there. A youth pointed at the direction where Qin Yun and Yang Yang went and shouted. Although he shouted with all his strength, his voice is very soft and his expression is very ugly. These dozen or so youths' bodies were shattered before, but now they have been resurrected. Only they are very weak. To be able to force you to abandon your bodies, their strength is definitely not weak. A middle-aged man said. They don't have token, but they can open the teleportation formation and escape just now. They are very strong experts. Third uncle, they are all crawling insects from the ground. No matter how strong they are not stronger than us. The youth said very angrily. They said they know the Divine Maiden, maybe they want to disturb the Divine Maiden transformation place. Hearing that someone wants to disturb the 9-Sun Divine Maiden transformation place, these tens of thousands of people acted as if they were injected with chicken blood. They madly shouted and then rushed towards Qin Yun and Yang Yang. Qin Yun can only use light transformation sacred pupil to quickly rush forward. Yang Yang, what's over there? Qin Yun asked. Yang Yang is now giving him directions. I also don't know, I feel that there is something over there. Yang Yang looked behind her and saw countless light dots flickering. She shouted in alarm. They are catching up. Those people are wearing golden white crystal armors that are flickering with multicolored light. Tens of thousands of people are flying very fast in the sky. It is as if specks of starlight have gathered together and transformed into a surging wave. Chapter 24:11. Although Qin Yun only took a single step, he created a large distance between them. Relying on the light transformation sacred pupil, he and Yang Yang continuously flew forward like light, maintaining a very high speed. As long as he can create some distance between them, Qin Yun won't need to continue using Void Step. Using Void Step in this kind of environment will consume a lot of spatial divine power bead. Yang Yang, was your hometown like this before? How come there are so many crazy guys? Qin Yun can feel the formidable pressure coming from behind. Tens of thousands of people are madly rushing over. The mighty energy wave produced is very terrifying. No, there are no such guys in my hometown, I have never seen them. Yang Yang is also puzzled, she muttered in low voice. It's not easy for me to return home, how could I meet these guys? Qin Yun wants to understand what kind of existence these divine sun descendants are, what kind of race they are and why they know about the Divine Maiden. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, I suspect that these divine sun descendants are outsiders. Outsiders? Myriad Realms Divine Sun allows these guys to exist? Qin Yun also feels that it is very strange because he has never heard of Divine Sun descendant. If there really is such a guy, then Jiang Jiuquan would definitely know about it when he was inside the Divine Sun. Jiang Jiuquan did not mention this matter to Qin Yun. It can be seen that there are no Divine Sun descendants inside the ancestral Divine Sunday. Big Brother, don't worry about those scoundrels behind us for now. Yang Yang said. Qin Yun knows that those who Yang Yang thinks are scoundrels are definitely extremely evil. In other words, those Divine Sun descendants are very likely to be transformed from some evil spirit. Xiao Yun, this third Myriad Realms Divine Sun, should be the weakest of the 3 Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. It is normal for there to be some strange things here. Ling Yuner said, Let's go find Sister Shuyan first. Luyu Shuyan has already arrived. Qin Yun doesn't know where she is inside the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. Yang Yang guided Qin Yun to a place that was very likely to be the core of the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. More and more Divine Sun descendants appeared behind them. There are at least several 100,000 of them. What surprised Qin Yun is that their speed is getting faster and faster. Some of them can even drill into the golden white crystals on the ground. After those people entered the crystal ground, they are like fish in the water, they can swim very fast. What the hell is this? After Qin Yun saw it, he could not help but speed up to prevent himself from being caught. Brother, I know what they are. Yang Yang suddenly said, They are all insects. Worms? Qin Yun was puzzled. They aren't humans? They're humans, but they're similar to bugs. Bugs that live inside Divine Yang's body. Yang Yang said. Qin Yun suddenly understood that the descendants of the Divine Sun were most likely parasitizing the myriad realms' Divine Sun through some strange technique. In other words, the third universe deity Sun might have fallen sick and infected some strange creatures. Even the myriad worlds' Divine Suns could not destroy the descendants of the Divine Suns. Ling Yuner also said, Little Yun, Yang Yang's meaning should be that this kind of descendant of the Divine Sun is a special existence that resides within the Divine Sun. Yang Yang, do you remember anything? How much do you know about these insects? Qin Yun asked. Yang Yang must have thought of something. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that. Let me think. Yang Yang leaned on Qin Yun's back and tried very hard to recall. The sounds of people chasing and cursing continuously came from behind. The noisy Divine Sun made people feel very annoyed. Qin Yun released a barrier to isolate the sound of the outside world, allowing Yang Yang to recall in peace. What made him very shocked is that the descendants of the Divine Sun appeared one after another from all over the place. Some suddenly fell from the sky, some suddenly ran out from the ground. In the blink of an eye, there are millions of them. These descendants of the Divine Sun seem to know about the Nine Sun Goddess. Moreover, they seem to be paying special attention to her. Qin Yun thought about it carefully and felt that these descendants of the Divine Sun are very concerned about the Nine Sun Goddess. They must have bad intentions. When he and Yang Yang were outside, the descendants of the Divine Sun that he came into contact with were very arrogant. They called the humans on the ground crawling on the ground. It can be seen that this kind of people definitely do not have a good impression of humans. They definitely view human life as worthless grass. I remember, there is a heavenly universe Divine Sun in the 9 heavens, and there are many of these fellows. It is because of these fellows that the 9 heavens became very chaotic. Yang Yang suddenly said, An old granny once told me that these scoundrels are bugs. They parasitized inside the heavenly universe Divine Sun and then caused the heavens Divine Sun to become bad. It also caused the entire 9 heavens to become bad. Qin Yun's heart suddenly trembled. The environment of the 9 heavens is very bad. Cannibalism is very common and also very normal. Moreover, the people from the 9 heavens seem to be affected by something and become extremely evil. It is extremely possible that it is because the heavenly universe Divine Sun is inhabited by the descendants of the Divine Sun. Could it be that these fellows are the source of evil? Where did they come from? Qin Yun muttered. Was it because of the influence of these fellows that the 9 suns fell and destroyed the world? It is very difficult for the descendants of the Divine Sun to die. Previously, they were already beaten to the ground, but they suddenly self-destructed. Their souls easily drilled into the extremely sturdy crystal. Moreover, the soul can absorb the divine power of the Divine Sun and quickly condense a body. Yang Yang is the Sun Soul. The divine power she released earlier seems to be able to restrain the descendants of the Divine Sun. Xiao Yun, quickly find Sister Shu Yan. These fellows have a very bad influence on the Divine Sun, and they are also eyeing the Divine Daughter. Ling Yuner said, Sister Shu Yan might know these fellows very well. I wonder if there are such things in the ancestral Divine Sun and the second myriad world's Divine Sun. Qin Yun is suddenly very worried that Lu Yu Shu Yan will be disturbed by these things. Yang Yang pointed the way and led Qin Yun in a certain direction. That place is completely empty, it seems like there is nothing there. The space inside the Divine Sun is very large. Qin Yun ran for 4 hours but still did not reach the end. We're almost there. Yang Yang suddenly shouted, Big brother, pay more attention to the surroundings, I feel that there is something here. The ground inside the Divine Sun is paved with golden white crystals. Even if you dig very deep, you will still find golden white crystals. The ground is also releasing golden white light rays. Because the light rays are rather strong, it is impossible to see through the crystals. However, after Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye, he saw a rather different place in front of him. In front of him, there is a small area with a circular ground. It looks like a circular pool of water. However, with naked eyes, the ground is still filled with golden white crystals. Only by using heavenly eye can one see a circular white pool of water. It's a teleportation formation, and it's even hidden. After Qin Yun got closer, he caught many runes and immediately realized that they are spatial runes. He promptly used light transformation, sacred pupil, and brought Yang Yang to the top of the invisible teleportation formation in the blink of an eye. It's here, it's here. Yang Yang sensed it and hastily shouted. Qin Yun immediately released an extremely strong blood spirit power to activate the teleportation formation. Damn it, hurry up! Qin Yun gritted his teeth and cursed. He did not expect that this teleportation formation would be so difficult to activate. And those divine sun descendants are constantly shouting crazily. When they rushed over, they brought along a burst of scorching hot and evil gale. Qin Yun promptly took out 3 space divine power pearls and shattered them. Then he controlled the space divine power and poured it into the formation along with the blood spirit power. Only now did he realize that this formation cannot absorb the divine sun's energy. It needs external energy to be activated. This means that if someone is not proficient in formations, they will not be able to use this hidden teleportation formation. Could this be a passage deliberately left behind by the myriad realms' divine sun? Qin Yun secretly guessed. He suspects that this teleportation formation can teleport to the core of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. The distant group of divine sun descendants are now condensing powerful divine power and pouring it into the golden white crystal spears in their hands. Then they crazily threw them over. I'll block them! Yang Yang suddenly came down from Qin Yun's back. Her small hands danced and 9 purple gold ribbons appeared. These are her purple gold tail feathers. They extended very long and enveloped the invisible formation. Boom, boom, boom. Those spears bombarded the protective barrier formed by the purple gold tail feathers and produced a series of explosive sounds. And at this moment, those divine sun descendants are already approaching. That incomparably crazy roar shook the area, causing Qin Yun and Yang Yang to feel great pressure. Let's go! Qin Yun also successfully activated the teleportation formation. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yun and Yang Yang disappeared. Not long after, the group of divine sun descendants also arrived. When they saw Qin Yun and Yang Yang disappear, they crazily shouted. Many of them even drilled into the ground. They did not know the existence of the teleportation formation. Qin Yun and Yang Yang passed through the mysterious teleportation formation and teleported to a space that is filled with a vast expanse of whiteness. There seems to be no ground here because looking down, there is only a dense white mist. Qin Yun and Yang Yang can only float in the air. Big brother, this is my hometown. I once lived here for a very long time. Yang Yang said with smile. We are safe now. Is that so? Didn't the sun fall before? Your hometown should have been destroyed and now it has been restored? Qin Yun looked around. He did not see anything and also did not sense the divine power of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. I don't know. When I returned here, I felt that it was very familiar. Yang Yang flew in front and said with a charming laugh, Big brother, I will take you to see the waterfall. My hometown's 9-colored waterfall is very beautiful. Qin Yun can only follow Yang Yang and fly forward. After flying for more than half a day, they did not see the 9-colored waterfall but instead saw a sun. It is not the myriad realms' divine sun, nor is it any other divine Sunday. It is one of the 9 suns, a very ordinary-looking sun. Chapter 24:12. When Yang Yang saw the small sun, she wanted to rush over to take a look, but she was pulled back by Qin Yun, preventing her from running around. Big brother, this is the sun from back then, why is it here? And it has become so small. Yang Yang is also very puzzled, she said in low voice. I thought this sun was gone. Qin Yun suddenly thought of many things. The small sun in front of him should be the core of the myriad realms divine sun. Although it has evolved into the myriad realms divine sun, the core is still the 9 suns from back then, the 9 suns that Qin Yun and Yang Yang are familiar with. The core of the 9 suns has never been destroyed along with the sun falling to the ground. Instead, it is hidden somewhere else. So that's how it is. Qin Yun carefully recalled that there are a few layers inside the myriad realms divine sunland. The outermost layer should be a shell. When they entered from the shell, they saw a large group of divine sun descendants. That should be the outer region of the divine sun's interior. Jiang Jiuquan said that when their 9 heavens divine race entered the myriad realms divine sun, they were only in the outer region and did not know where the core region was. The place that Qin Yun and Yang Yang arrived at is the core region. This is an area that divine sun descendants cannot enter. If the divine sun descendants can enter this place, it means that this divine sun is already very dangerous. The core will immediately hide and let the divine sun fall to the ground and destroy it, completely killing the group of divine sun descendants and all kinds of evil beings that want to control the divine sun. 4 billions of years, the 9 suns have been repeating this. Even after many rebirths, they are still unable to get rid of the divine sun descendant. This is the core of the divine sun, the sun we are familiar with. Qin Yun let go of Yang Yang's hand and said, Let's go take a look. The core of the sun is a sun that has shrunk many times. It is about 10,000 feet tall and floated in this vast expanse of white space. The light released is very gentle and warm, not as scorching and uncomfortable as when it is outside. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and looked at the core of the sun. He discovered that there is a graceful figure at the center of the sun's core. That figure is Lu Yu Shuyan. Lu Yu Shuyan can enter the sun's core. It seems like she is in the transformation realm. Yang Yang flew over. She is unable to enter the sun's core. She can only circle around it. Qin Yun flew over and arrived at the side of the sun's core. He passed through the layer of fiery red light and wanted to enter the core, but he discovered that he was blocked by a very strong object. He touched it with his hand and took a closer look. He found that it was a golden red solid. It didn't look like a crystal, but it was very solid. The sun's core is really hard. Qin Yun secretly used his penetration divine ability in an attempt to burrow in, but to no avail. He did not dare to attack the core for fear of being reflected and injured. As he was unable to enter, Qin Yun flew out of the fiery red light. When will Sister Shuyan come out? Qin Yun thought of the ancestor divine sun and the second myriad realms divine Sunday. Xiao Yuelan and Xiao Yueme are each in the inner transformation realm of a divine Sunday. He didn't know where Yang Yang had run off to, but he could still hear her bell-like laughter. She must be having a lot of fun on the sun's core. Big brother, look, it's the 9-colored waterfall. Yang Yang shouted with a charming smile. A burst of 9-colored light suddenly surged forth from the core of the massive fireball-like sun before crashing down from above like a surging river. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that it wasn't 9-colored mist, but 9-colored water, and it was even making splashing sounds. Yang Yang was at the forefront of the waves, falling with the 9-colored waterfall. Hualala Qin Yun finally saw the 9-colored waterfall. He is also very shocked. It is as if an incomparably huge 9-colored river appeared on top of a huge fireball. Moreover, it even formed a waterfall. This is simply inconceivable. What puzzled Qin Yun the most is that the 9-colored waterfall only appeared after they arrived. It was created by Yang Yang. He promptly floated to a high place and looked down at the top of the huge fireball. 9 colored liquid gushed out, then formed 4 9-colored rivers that flowed in all directions, forming 4 waterfalls. This core was originally very big. After forming the fireball, the multicolored light released made the whole body become even bigger. Therefore, the river formed is also not small, it is more than 100 feet wide. Yang, how did you do it? Qin Yun promptly asked. I also don't know. I just went to the top and saw a layer of light barrier. After I opened it, a very big fountain appeared. Yang flew to the top of the core and then jumped down as if she was diving. Finally, she fell down along with the water flow. This sun's core is like a huge fireball, but there is a fountain at the top. The spring water also formed 4 huge 9-colored rivers that flowed in all directions. In the end, the water flowed down like a waterfall and fell straight down. In the vast expanse of white space, there is a white mist below, as if there is no bottom. The 9-colored spring water fell down and gradually formed soil and rock. The earth appeared. Could it be that it's because we came that it's like this? Qin Yun is also at the top of the 9-colored spring. Big brother, it's very safe here. Let little Mo, little Queen Ant and little Jade Rabbit come out to play. Yang shouted. Is it really safe? Qin Yun is not at ease. Mo, little Jade Rabbit and little Queen Ant, these 3 little cuties don't have any fighting strength. Yang is very strong, so Qin Yun is at ease with her. It's very safe. Yang is playing in the water, following the waterfall to the ground. That kind of feeling made her feel very excited. Let me confirm again. Qin Yun is still not at ease. This is the interior of the myriad realms Divine Sun, and there are many descendants of the Divine Sun outside. He is worried that those descendants of the Divine Sun will attack. Furthermore, he saw the mouth of the 9-colored spring water and felt that it might be the entrance to the inner core. Yang, can you enter the inner core through that fountain? Qin Yun asked. I don't know, let's give it a try. Yang also flew to Qin Yun's side and said with mischievous smile, Big brother, I'll go in first. Yang jumped into the spring. She wanted to enter the center of the sun core through the spring, but she did not succeed. Because the spring water is very strong, the mouth of the spring is more than 100 feet wide. It is very large and a large amount of 9-colored spring water is continuously gushing out. Even Yang was unable to break through the terrifying gushing spring pressure. Qin Yun took a deep breath and released the mental nether moon. It floated in the sky and became bigger. He released formidable mental power and sent it into the sun core. He is trying to use his formidable mental power to communicate with Lu Yushuyan. Sister Shuyan, Qin Yun used his mental power to gently call out to Lu Yushuyan. He tried for less than half an hour and was about to give up when he suddenly heard Lu Yushuyan's divine sun voice. Xiao Yun? You're here? Yang also heard the voice and shouted in alarm. It's Sister Yao Fong. Back in the 9 Sun Divine Soul, Yang also knew Yao Fong back then, that's why she called out to her. Yang also has one. Lu Yushuyan said with light smile. That's great, I'm relieved that you can safely arrive here. Sister Shuyan, what's going on here? Qin Yun asked. This place, and those divine sun descendants outside, it's a long story, I only found out a lot of things after I came in. Xiao Yun, those divine sun descendants are a very special kind of human, they are very powerful. Their existence is to control and devour all kinds of suns. Lu Yushuyan said. How did they get here? Qin Yun asked. I also don't know. They are like ants, they can always find a powerful divine Sunday. Then, like ants' moving house, a large number of them will appear inside the divine sun. Lu Yushuyan sighed and said, This is also the greatest enemy that divine sun faces. Qin Yun explained the situation to Lu Yushuyan. Those divine sun descendants seem to be very concerned about you. Do they want to protect you or do something else? Qin Yun asked. Let's put it this way, an ant nest needs an ant queen to reproduce. To them, a divine lady's divine son is a perfect ant nest. They want to treat me as their race queen. Lu Yu Shuyan said. Elder sister, those guys are very bad. Yang Yang said very angrily, they are very bad bugs, they want to destroy divine sun. Qin Yun clenched his fists and cursed in his heart. These vile bugs, don't even think about doing anything to Sister Shuyan. Yang Yang can come here because she is a sun spirit. Xiao Yun, you can come here because of the divine position. Lu Yu Shuyan said, your divine king heavenly seal is also a sun god deity position. Qin Yun suddenly recalled and promptly took out the divine king heavenly seal and asked, Sister Shuyan, what use does my sun god deity position have here? It has a very great use. However, you need to use your perception to modify the divine king heavenly seal and use it to restrain those divine sun descendants. As long as you modify it well, you can obtain divine sun power. Divine sun has never known how to restrain those divine sun descendants, so they want to borrow humans' power to help exterminate them. And we 9 sun divine ladies exist to exterminate the divine sun descendants. However, we have failed to live up to divine sun's expectations and are unable to find an effective method to restrain them. Lu Yu Shuyan feels very helpless. She only hopes that Qin Yun will succeed. Otherwise, the 9 myriad realms divine suns that will appear in the divine desolate will also fall to the ground and the 9 suns world extermination will reappear. Qin Yun looked at the divine king heavenly seal in his hand and suddenly felt that this heavenly seal is very heavy. Back then, he obtained the I-deity position and also obtained the help of the sun. However, he never knew that the sun would face such a threat. Even if he knew, he wouldn't be able to help and would be killed by the divine sun descendants. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.